I love reading. This is like my weekly insurance that I do not comprehend the language that I speak. So hi. We're just gonna be reading more Umineko today. You know, like I said I would do yesterday. Fuck you. Honestly, like, come into my fucking house and before I have to read like 3 hours worth of content, you're gonna make me scream? Fine. That was great. I hope you're doing well, bud. It's literally just reading today. I can't fucking wait to see someone die. Where is it? It is. Hee hee. Funny little jokester, little goofster. Make me tear up my fucking vocal cords. It's all a little silly jape. Oh. I turned off a little too quick. Ah. Wonder if my controller works. Are you starting over? Absolutely the fuck not. Why would I start over? Oh god, could you fucking imagine? Oh man, if I start over, I think I might cry. Last time what I did was I changed to a different program to read it. So it looks a little bit better. And you'll see, there's still no voices because I turned those off, but they'll go little the mouth flaps. The strange letter that the witch hadn't trusted. Oh fuck, my controller doesn't work. Please? Please? Voodoo? What did I miss? Basically we just found a strange letter from Maria, and we're like, what the fuck? And then the witch said, hey guys, I'm gonna kill you. And we're like, that kind of sucks. That's it. Let's see. Big. 3 hours. That seems about right. Dual shot. That did nothing. Okay. Never mind. Let me just change it back. Who is Maria? The little girl. Oh no. Do we have to do a... Here. Let's just do a quick recap. This is Battler. He's a guy. He was going to visit his family on this island, and they're like, yeah, Udu, this girl. She was like outside in the pouring rain. They're like, where's Maria? Where's Maria? We can't find her. We can't fucking find her. She's gone. She's dead. She's like deceased. And then they go to find her, and she just has an umbrella. And they're like, oh, who was the nice person that gave you an umbrella, Maria? She's like, oh, Beatrice. And they're like, haha, who? She said, Beatrice, the witch. And they're like, oh, we'll just ask at the family dinner. She's just being silly. And then they ask, and literally everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't give an umbrella to that kid. And then they're like, huh? And then Maria's like, hey, check out the sick letter I got. And she pulls out a letter to an invitation to Smash Brothers. And then she's like, hey guys. Beatrice was like, hey, I'm gonna kill you all in the letter that Maria got. And so now they're all freaking out. Oh, and it started raining. I think that was apparent. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. Oh no. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I'd already guessed that they'd be talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance. Back and forth about the distribution of gold if it was found. About advance payments and cash. It was so despicable I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. Oh my god. 1 second. No. Here. Guys, are you ready for this? I get to fucking look for a screwdriver. Yay. That one. Wow, that was cool. I love it. I can't read that. Oh, my head's covering part of a text. I'm sorry. This is not. This is for me to read, not you. Stop trying to read without me. That's not fair. That's not what this is. This isn't like a collaborative reading. This is you listen to me, okay? This could be a black screen for all we care. Fine. You know what? You don't deserve to have a screen. Sorry. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked to and went to hang out somewhere away from the parents. I get it. Now I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. God, God, I'm so disillusioned with my parents right now. I'm not even illusioned right now. I'm listening how you pronounce different words. Yeah, I know lip flaps, right? Isn't that crazy? Fine. You know what? If that's how you feel, I'll do this. Uh We're gonna make a little trip. Ready? Off. Okay, never mind. Not that. This one, this one. Gonna move them. Oh! You didn't see that. Transform. Rotate 180 degrees. Oh, fuck. That did not work very well. Huh? Do I need to move over a little bit? Here, let me fix this. Oh, I, I'm gonna get so fucking sick like this. You're gonna make me barf. Okay, that's it. That's better. Yeah, okay. I'm getting dizzy. Okay, I'm not dead. I'm not dying. I can read. This is what you wanted. Here, now you can fucking read. Hope you feel great about that. I'm so disillusioned with my parents right now. Our parents. All that money and all that about money and inheritance. How can they act like that right in front? Right? Oh my god. How can they act like that right out in the open? Don't bard inside your costume. Barf? Well, that's why there's a little hole. It's for me to barf out of. Go. Bleh. Well, I'm already completely disillusioned with my old bastard. There's no way I could think any worse of him. Oh, man, I love the lip flaps. That's exactly the same for me. Still, that freaking shocked me. Shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear. Sorry, I'm supposed to be reading this upside down. Uh, Daster Reedun Ton Tiham Ui Ostentirap Your Uri Yeb de Ter or Popoist King Be Ib Sir Ornium La Iroi. Looks like normal anime animations. It's kind of weird. It like heightens. Listen, listen. The lip flaps really got me through about like 200 hours of this shit because like when the lip flaps are on and you have the voices, it's like you're just like, man, I'm fucking watching an anime. You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand, but getting money is neither simple nor a pretty thing. I've killed 4 men for it. I wouldn't try to force you to understand right now, since you're still kids. You little bitches. Even so, I want you to realize that your parents are just doing their best in their own way. Oh, great. George Aniki's gotten all mature. George Nissan, I know you're working hard as a full-fledged member of society, but I don't fucking care. But that doesn't mean that you turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets. If it were only for my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't want to do that. However, when your family and your employees, your subordinates, and their families are all counting on you, there are some times when you must fight. You can tell I'm serious because my glass is fogged up. I kind of hate that. I kind of hate fight. I hate that kind of fight. Fuck. I hate that kind of fight. Take that back and forth about grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke. I'm gonna make myself a little smaller. I'm a little distracting right now. Shrink, stupid bitch. Oh. There we go. Now we don't have to worry about shit. Oh. It's weird. It's so weird. Oh my god. It makes me want to puke. Jessica pretended to spit violently. Kiss Battler? Ah, oh, fuck, I'm still in the way. Not that one. Not that one. No. Unclick. Mwah! I'll be fucking tiny. I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little guy. Gave him a little kiss. Mwah. Touching my little screen. Jessica pretended to spit up violently. That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear. I was always the witch. Let's stop talking about this. All this about grandfather's hidden gold, property, and inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours. I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together. Sounds pretty boring. Everyone knows the phrase, adults are filthy, right? I mean, everyone knows that, right? But we had now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. They didn't bathe. They were so stinky. George Aniki was now pretty much an adult, and I'd been pretty disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she received a bigger blow than I'd thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. Am I an adult? Yeah. No, I'm like 3 years old. I stole a computer, and I'm just chilling. I can't breathe. I can't read. It's past my bedtime. I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does. And then her parents started raging about going, money, money, inheritance, inheritance, my money, money, money. Right in front of all the other parents and the children. It's no surprise she received such a shock hearing that. Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them. I get it, just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all dejected, but I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realized it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily, and left the parlor. She probably wanted to be alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left. Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went. She's probably just pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter was proof. Would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, Georgianika and I abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night. I wonder what's happening with that typhoon. Maybe there's something about it on the news. Georgianiki started walking over to the corner of the parlor where the television was. He hadn't called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less where the typhoon was on the sea now. So, without going over to the television, I loitered around the window. Fuck you. I hate doing her voice. I have no idea what voice I gave this bitch. The wind hasn't picked up much here. I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report. Ah, Kirie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, yeah? Yeah. I take it those big talks... She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kirie-san shrugged. I can't fucking read. I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. It's not going to be fun. Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you like. I feel sick. Oh, I'll agree with you on that. If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it. Unfortunately, I can't. Even if I'm not allowed to speak. We spouses have it pretty rough too. Kirie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. They probably wouldn't let Kirie-san speak, and she only married into the family. You're so good at speaking words. Stop it. Still, as Dad's partner, she has no choice. Still, as Dad's partner, she has no choice. Oh my god, I bit my fucking tongue! Hey, that's just... It's true to life, man. That's how this game gets you. No one dies, and it's just about bitching. That's just real life. You can tell the author captured the real life experience of rich people. Still, his dad's partner decided to support him. I already read that. She's probably had to bear the full brunt of his mental pressure much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch Beatrice? More or less. Those 4 siblings are always piling up secret arguments when they come together to discuss the division of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown 5th person has appeared, and is trying to make things even more complicated, and there's no way that'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they'll set up a common front. Natsuki-Nasan's not the only one getting headaches. On the other hand, they all want a larger portion than the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want one yin to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations. Setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. I wish I did not have a fucking lesion on my tongue. This goddamn ulcer is going to be the death of me. I feel like every couple months I'll get one. This one I had like 2. I had one on my top lip that's gone away now, and now one on the fucking bottom side of my tongue. So anytime I speak, I'm like... That they would go so far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience. So basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent by grandfather. He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him. Who is this Beatrice, I wonder? If everything she claims is true, then she's a mysterious figure, a mystery figure that no one knew about until today. And she also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. Stop hurting your tongue. I would if I could. On top of that, she was even entrusted with the head's ring. She must have truly been trusted by him. Well, obviously, I don't think she's a witch riding around on some broom. But there's no doubt she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch. If only Maria-chan would go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her, even though she's just a little girl. They really scared her, and some things they might ask now can't be asked. I wonder if those people have even read The North Wind and the North Sun, and the North Wind and the Sun. And what do we know? What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. God damn it, why did I choose this fucking text style? This text style looks so much better, but the problem is it's fucking hard to read. It's hard to, like, read out loud. She sure is shy. Like, look at this. Ready? Ooh. If I choose literally any other one, let's choose this one. Look how much easier that is to, kind of. Not that one. Not that one. This one. Is that so much easier to read? Anyway. She sure is shy for a mystery person, entrusting Maria with a letter and hiding away even now. But she could have just appeared and talked to us directly. Hey, Battler-kun. Do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists? Who knows? Doesn't it really seem like a false name? Like she's grandfather's representative, though she was given permission to take the name of the witch from his delusions? Stupefaction. Stupefaction. No, that's not what I meant. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here on Rokenjima. Do you think that there's a 19th person? Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Boop. Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think that a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean? Just what I said. The person who lent Maria that umbrella supposedly wasn't just one of us 18. So, isn't it natural to assume that the 19th person exists, and that this person lent Maria the umbrella? Well, yeah. Sure looks that way. Then, where exactly is that person now? At the very least, she must have been on the island when it started raining. And ever since that time, the weather has grown progressively worse, so taking a boat out would probably be pretty much impossible. In that case, that person must still be on the island, hiding in the rain somewhere, and without any of us spotting her. True, we've all been randomly prowling around over the mansion and the guest house, but no one has bumped into a 19th person. But this island is huge. There might be other places to take shelter from the rain, other than the mansion and the guest house. Yeah, just go out and look in the fucking pouring rain. It's only raining. Like, pfft, what's wrong with you? At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kirie-san's suspicions were taking us in. I'm gonna move this up. The chat box got moved. Kirie-san was denying a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us. If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests. The most honored of confidants, trusted by grandfather. There's no way grandfather wouldn't give a person of that kind of warm reception. Oh, speaking of, because I downloaded this version, there's actual rain in the background. So if I didn't, if it was the other version, you'd probably still hear the raindrops, but this little rain effect wouldn't be there. It's a cute little difference. And then the love the lip flaps. Comfy. It's true. She surely would have been ushered into the mansion. Dude, if like I had to die somewhere, Rokenjima's a pretty cool place to die. Like, they've got nice couches, nice ambient rain. Come on. However, we haven't seen anyone like that. Wait a sec. Isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one spotted this person, but that doesn't mean you can deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right? They actually repurpose the rain. It's a nice system where they just steal some from the ocean and then they just drop it all. Yeah, it's like it's built into the system, you know. It's kind of hard to explain. When you're installing this game, you have to like install like an 80-gallon tank of water on top of your computer. So it's just where they get it. And then it gets recycled. So once it falls, there's a little drain that catches it and it goes back up. Maybe, for some reason, they landed on the island stealthily and have been hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof. Copyright-free rain sound. Yeah, these are copyright-free characters on screen right now. We couldn't, you can use them anywhere. It's easy to oh my god. It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appears in front of us and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that there's no 19th person. Yes. That Raccoon, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to either accept or deny that a 19th person exists. Did I say 13th? If you spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Spin the chessboard around was one of Kyrie's favorite phrases. God damn. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. When you get stuck by trying to find a move in chess or shogi, then try by spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint. You can often see a strategy that'll give you an upper hand. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes. You see? Let's say that a 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have managed, without being seen by anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why did they go to all the trouble— oh god! To all the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter? It really was a contradiction. They had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. But even so, they had appeared openly in front of Maria. Then, wait, Maria said it herself. She said the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looked the most obedient. Oh, by the way, this is messenger in English, not to be like confused with all the Japanese text that's on screen. Like, all this is Japanese, but messenger, that's English. Yeah. Anyway. Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they had mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. There was no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand. That really does sound pretty weird. In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have openly presented herself to all of us. Fake English. English. Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing through a little girl called Maria-chan, and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction. Let's go a little deeper, shall we? She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed, and yet, she still hasn't appeared before us and is still hiding somewhere at this very moment. Think about those contradictions. You've got to keep these things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us with the impression that Beatrice exists as a 19th person, what might their goal be? If this person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. And if they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used the roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Which means, it's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they want to create the illusion that there are more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly. If someone were to profit from this, it wouldn't be the 19th person in hiding, it wouldn't be some 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, this reasoning is also full of holes, I added back. I had a word there. You might want to recheck your script because you should put also there instead of just nothing. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'll simply fall apart. But I'm almost completely certain it's correct. This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly, none of the 18 did this, and yet, Beatrice was hidden among those 18. Was this person planning hiding? What was this person planning? Hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice? I suspected it might have been Maria-chan play acting, but the contents of the message were extremely complicated. It's hard to imagine a Maria-chan writing that herself. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria-chan is working together with someone. Wait a sec. Maria is 9... Wait. Hold up. Wait a sec. Maria's a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning? And with whom? And what about her straightforward, overly honest, obedient nature? Yes, I also understand what kind of person Maria-chan is. But that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer, who can't help but to look up and blindly accept the existence of witches. If a person appeared in front of her, and complained and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria-chan would happily swallow it up, I think. So, you're saying that if someone disguised themselves by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait, tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard? Of course. With that reasoning, all of us women would become the primary suspects. Anyway, who did Maria-chan encounter? Learning the details of the question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria-chan's heart. Everyone denied the existence of the witch without listening to her, barraging her too much with questions about who Beatrice actually was. Probably won't open to her heart to the adults. Oh my god, my tongue! Up in my tongue! In the dim hall, in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. No.
No one believes I met Beatrice. When I showed them the letter Beatrice gave, they still don't believe.
Grandfather put on the Beatrice dress. Oh! Maria! Anyway, Maria-chan's holding is the key. Maria-chan's holding the key. Maria-chan is holding the key. The key to whether Beatrice is one of the 18 people or 19th person. Maria's stubborn, right? When a girl gets angry, it's pretty hard to make her feel better. Valor-kun, I think a kid like you would be better at cheering her up than an adult like me. After she's feeling pretty better. Goddamn, read. It is right in front of you. There is text. Read, please. After she's feeling better, try asking. I know you don't care about all this back and forth about the inheritance, but don't you find this Western Mansion mystery situation exciting? Who in the world is this person who gave Maria-chan the letter? It makes your intellectual curiosity ache. You're actually pretty tough considering you're so excited after being dragged through the endless money talk. Those can be pretty amazing. I shrugged exasperatedly. But I did notice something. Kyrie noticed how dejected I was after overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion. God, is Grandpa looking sexier today? Put on that big fluffy dress. He combed his hair? God damn. Kyrie noticed how dejected I was overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I've recovered enough to voice my complaints. She wasn't my real mother, so I never felt like calling her mom. It did make me think, she's a real adult. Hey, brats. So this is where you were. Kyrie, you really took your time fixing your makeup, didn't you? Think I'll make a habit of going touch my makeup too. I'm sorry. A woman's makeup can take a long time. Hmm. Whoa. So, has the discussion been without me? You want to take that line again? No, I really don't. I'm sure everything was all peaceful and harmonious. Yuri-san poked a weak spot under my arm with her elbow. We decided to take a break to cool our heads a bit. It looks like we'll be at it all night. Dad, your makeup's looking on point. Could you possibly be the Golden Witch Beatrice? Makes me want to cry. His way of talking hadn't changed. He couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I was sympathetic, but he looked pitiful compared to his normal energetic self. Still, the rain's just awful. I really don't want to go out to the guest house. Looks like Natsu Nasan's set things up so we could spend the night here in the mansion. What do we do? We don't need to decide until you're done, right? If you run so low on energy that you can't return to our room, then we can take them up on their offer. There's at least 5 witches in this house. At least. We've counted like at least 5. That plant in the corner, that one, the center of a screen. Why would it be centered on a screen if it wasn't an important character? That's all I'm saying, right? It's looking a little yellowish, a little golden. Tie that hair up into a little braided bun. Looks like a witch. Throw a dress on that shit. Babbler, why are you putting a dress on a plant? Obviously, this is... It's just a thing, it's true. It could be anyone here. It could be you. It could be that curtain. Alright. We can think about it later. Well, you, Battler. If I stayed, I'd just get in the way. I'll be nice and go back over there. I see. Will you go back soon? I don't know. I'd be lonely to head back by myself. I'll gather up all the kids and we'll head out. Show me your teeth! Is anyone wondering why Maria's talking to a plant? Okay, you go do that. Also, Battler, you won't be going to sleep that early tonight, right? Yeah, I'll probably be talking with the cousins. Sounds like we'll be up all night. Is there a problem with that? I see. If you're still awake when the adults' discussion is over, I want us to have a little talk as a family. A what? That doesn't sound like you. Apparently Kirie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? She asked him in a small voice. It looks like Kirie-san didn't have a clue what Dad meant either. I also want to talk to you about it, Kirie. I'll tell you later, so don't ask now. Please. Huh? I don't know anyone who neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard. Now he's saying we're gonna have a talk as a family. Both Kirie-san and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed. Don't look so terrified. I'm the one who should be terrified. After all. At that point he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on the airs of importance wasn't much like my dad. You're freaking me out, Dad. Everyone in our family is gathered here now, right? Don't make a big deal of it and spit it out. I will probably be killed. There was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which always looked to be sure of itself, and which always wore a taunting expression, was strangely frail, in a way I couldn't really explain. He was so worn out that he looked like a different person. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like you. I agree. What happened? You look so timid all of a sudden. It's not like you. I'm gonna fix my makeup too. Don't follow me. You'll see me turn into a beautiful witch. No, Dad! Don't be a witch. Dad turned away weakly. After every week he turned away. After that, only Curie and I were left, still wide-eyed. By the way, this doesn't get fucking answered till like 100 hours. Like I swear on my fucking life. I swear on my fucking life. This does not get answered till 100 hours later. What did he say? Tonight, he'll be killed? You don't think that mysterious letter scared him, do you? He's been watching too many serial murder movies. He has to adjust his corset. Kirei-san didn't answer my lighthearted words, and continued to stare at my dad's disappearing back. Battler-kun, when you told Rudolph-san to spill the beans right away, he left without telling us anything. Even though he said he had something to say to both of us, he didn't answer you. Why? Spin the chessboard around. What do you see? Well, when he said he wanted to talk, but then couldn't, that's a contradiction. What can you see? What can you see by see something by looking from Dad's perspective? Yes, I can see something. He wants to talk about something. However, he doesn't have the courage to bring it up. So he actually means chase after me, talk to me, and ask about it yourself. By saying don't follow me, he actually means the opposite. He actually means follow me and force me to answer. Seriously, what a spoiled brat. What? Can you really call that reasoning? That's ridiculous. Great private and police detectives deduce the emotions and feelings between me and men and women. Me and women. God, I love so many women. They can't, right? Figuring out the feelings of the opposite sex is even more advanced than is an even more advanced art than exposing the tricks in difficult crime cases. If you ask me, romance novels has much deeper mysteries than masterpiece mystery novels. I see. Curious so base. She says, don't care about people's boundaries. When they say they don't want to talk about something, probe them. Just fucking drill them till they answer. Keep asking them. Just go in there. Love her. Girl boss. What a girl boss she is. I see. Is that how it is? She's kind of cringe. I'll stand alongside that spoiled brat. He normally loves to bluff, but tonight he's completely tired out from the heated discussion. That was a bad idea. I will admit, that's a terrible idea. And responding to that is the role of his partner. Yep. Ah, sounds passionate. Then I'll leave that old bastard in your hands. Yes, leave it to me. I called out Kyrie-san's departing back. Out to her departing back. Huh? What? I wanted to say thanks. Ooh! Thanks to you, my gloomy mood has cleared up a lot. That's good. Communication is important. After answering with a wink, Kyrie-san followed after Dad. Bye, Kyrie. Natsuki could be found in a dimly lit hallway. Now and then, the thunder would crash. This had no effect on Natsuki's expression. He looked completely worn out. Discussion that had taken place between the relatives in the dining hall was repeating itself inside Natsuki's mind. Death's door! Oh no! Beatrice had proclaimed that in addition to the gold, all the inheritance and property of the Ushirame family would be given to the person who could solve the riddle. In other words, she planned to undermine the absolute guarantee that Kraus, the oldest brother, had to succeed the family head. Originally, the other siblings had absolutely no chance to inherit the headship. To them, this proposal by Beatrice was extremely desirable. It was obvious that they would accept it. There was no need to play a clumsy detective game. Natsuki knew that the so-called 19th person, Beatrice, couldn't exist. Naturally, Beatrice was nothing more than a fictional character used to pass a message. She's a fictional character, guys. She isn't real. She's not your bestie. She's on the screen right now. She's just text. Used to pass a message that Kinzo had written himself. As proof, Kinzo had remained stubbornly neutral as to the letter's authenticity. He was completely ignoring these reckless claims that he shouldn't be able to ignore, that he had given up the head's ring. In short, Kinzo had wordlessly admitted that the letter held his own message. Stop it. Face reality. This is just a JPEG. This isn't a real story. Guys, these aren't real characters. That's a JPEG. That isn't an actual letter with a wax seal. It was drawn. It was created, fabricated. Most likely, one of the servants had given Maria the letter. Kinzo had probably worked out an elaborate plan where the dress from the portrait would be prepared. Someone, probably Shannon, would be made to wear it and deliver the letter and the umbrella. By doing that, he could make it seem like the witch from the portrait actually existed. Am I real? No. Anyway, no, if anything, that alone was proof that Kinzo was behind all this. I am a JPEG, that's so true. No guys, I'm not a JPEG, I'm a .whatever file that's only used by, what file type am I? Let's look. This is deviation. It's in documents. It's in VP, no. No. What is this thing called? Where am I? Where am I? I can't find me. This is too much effort. I really don't care anymore. I don't care, where is it? No, I'm not finding it. Okay. Well, my file type will remain unsolved. That's one of the mysteries of this game. Once you get into this game, you'll be told my dot extension. In that case, it was the same as Kinzo trying to butt into the siblings' private discussion. Then Kinzo, by announcing that he'd give everything to the person who solved the riddle, could weaken Klaus's Klaus. Minimal effort, Zed. So true. I give up very easily. I'm just an approximation of PNGs trying to make up one object. It's just like 18 layers trying to be one person. Could weaken Krause's overwhelming advantage. Now it was certain. Kinzo had eavesdropped on the siblings' discussion in the parlor earlier that day. Oh my god. He had known Krause had staved off the attack by the other three. Please, someone die. I have to read till someone dies. I swear to God. He had sent out this strange letter, which benefited Krause's rivals. Yes. He was trying to push this crazy theory so that Rosa, who had a weak position among the siblings because of her age, would join with Ava and Rudolph. Then, with a 3-to-1 advantage, they'd be able to overwhelm Krause yet again, and make their ridiculous theories get accepted by force. And by doing that, he gave them the power to resettle what had once been a nearly decided conflict. They had now started repeatedly pressuring Krause to pay them a large amount of money, using the condition that all of his siblings would guarantee Krause's position as a successor. Talk about the advance payments was being brought up again despite having been rejected once. God damn. Grandpa will die of old age by the time that this is done. Thank God. Of course, even without the story about the hidden gold, the Ushiromiya family's store of wealth was vast. That store of wealth alone was more than enough. Their plushies sell for thousands of dollars. Their merchandising rights of the Ushiromiya family, that's a lot. Hello? We'll keep telling tales. We're gonna die of old age here on stream. Live on stream, dying of old age stream. Hashtag real, hashtag not clickbait. That store of wealth alone was more than enough. Even if the hidden gold was buried forever, along with Kinzo's death, there would be more than enough to satisfy. Therefore, even if they weren't that interested in the gold itself, Kinzo had managed to instill the lifelong fear that, on the off chance that someone found the gold, that person would be granted the headship. Guys have cringed. No! That's my role! And this kind of Achilles heel definitely would be taken advantage of by someone sooner or later. The only person with this fatal weakness was a successor Krause. The other siblings had found, no, They had been told by Kinzo about something that only Kraus could lose, and they had thoroughly taken advantage of that. Natsuhi, who's just a fucking girl standing there, looking directly into your eyes. Look at her. Stare at her. Memorize her face. This will be on a test later. As Kraus's only ally in his painful position and his wife wanted to fight alongside him. She kept trying to explain to him that the existence of the gold itself was a farce, and that there was no need for him to compromise. Kraus had always told Natsuhi. He had told all of his siblings. He always said that the hidden gold was nothing more than an illusion created by Kenzo. Therefore, Natsuhi believed it as his wife, and had supported her husband on that foundation. Even so, Natsuhi's words didn't reach Kraus. Even though Natsuhi had fought so hard and had lent all of her strength, he continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other 3 siblings. Today isn't Thursday. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm reading. Listen, I said if you follow my twitter.com, you would know that I decided I was fucking tired. And that's that, bestie. No, I was busy yesterday, so I said, no, I'll do it tomorrow. Friday's honestly a better time to stream anyway, because it's not like I do shit. But who knows? Welcome to Thursday, Friday night. It's so true. My favorite night. He continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other 3 siblings. Natsuhi sadly and weakly wondered why she could not be of more use to him, and starting to get angry.
Why did my husband not listen to me?
It happened when everyone decided to take a short break to cool their heads. Natsuhi fucking died. She fell on the table and started wriggling around. Natsuhi had flared up against Kraus. Enraged, she had asked why she could not be useful to him. He had then told her that he wanted to talk about something, and invited her into a room that she was normally not allowed to enter. That room had been sealed away with a heavy locking padlock, and just looking at it had given her an uncomfortable feeling. There's no need for you to worry about anything said by those 3, or even the suspicious person who calls herself Beatrice. After all, the gold is just a ruse created by Father. There's no way something like that could be found. Your position as a successor is a solid fact. What are you afraid of? Kraus removed the padlock on the door. He then motioned for Natsuhi to enter. Enter. What is this? There's something I want you to see. I've never shown you this before. Natsuhi timidly opened the door with a dubious expression on her face. The dubious little Natsuhi. It was pitch black. She searched for a switch to turn on the lights, but since this was her first time in the room, she didn't know where it was. Kraus entered behind her, pushing her in, and they closed the door before turning on the lights. You were swallowed up by the darkness. Only the sound of Kraus locking the door rang out through the dark.
What are you doing? The lights.
I am turning them on now. Wait. Oh, there's the lights. Just as he said, when Kraus pushed the switch on the wall, a flickering light turned on and lit up the room. Yo!
That is...
Natsuhi had her breath taken away. Just breathe. The room had no windows. Have you noticed? This room has no doors. And then the ceiling started expanding. The room had no windows, and at a glance, it appeared to be empty. In the middle of the room, a small round table had been set, and the lights brightened only that table, as if it were leading part in a play. On top of the table, a red tablecloth of elaborate design had been set out, covered with dust. And on top of that, something about the size of a grown man's arm had been set down. That something took Natsuhi's breath away. It was an arm! Or a gold. Yeah, it could be the gold. Yeah, it was still the gold. Which in gold! Yeah! It's a gold ingot of incredible purity. Without this, no one would have believed the legend of a gold. It was an ingot of solid gold. Even in the faint light, it sparkled with a noble and dignified glint. This is not a proper ingot. Whoa, nice cut-in, dude. Very cinematic. I don't even know whether it was cast inside or outside the country. It took a high level of skill to make the purest of solid gold ingots. In order to verify that purity, it was standard to have the original foundry of a name of the bank that guaranteed it imprinted on the gold. However, this ingot did not have that kind of seal. This mysterious ingot bar had come from an unknown foundry. Look here. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a bar of gold. Nazi, following Krause's words, timidly approached the ingot. Right there. Krause pointed at the surface of the ingot. Nazi concentrated on that section. The bird! Right where the that's what she said. Right there was the thin imprint of the one-winged eagle crest. Nazi's breath was taken away once again. That's right. This is the legendary ingot that Father said he received from the witch, that the president of the Maruso witnessed and was allowed to select random to take back with him. That gained the trust of the fixers in the business world. I had to use all possible means to find it. I found it before the other siblings could.
Oh, good. Then the legend of Father's gold is...
It actually exists. The gold that Ushiro Miyakenzo received from Beatrice actually exists.
Impossible. So, it really does exist.
Natsuki was shocked. Krause had always said that Kinzo's gold was just a fabrication. She had believed it, as his wife. However, the reality was different. As he held definite proof, he had been more certain that any of the other siblings that the legend... He had been more certain than any of the other siblings that the legend of the gold was true. Because of this, Krause was deeply frightened at the possibility that someone other than himself would find the gold he'd failed to find, costing him everything. But to Natsuki, this truth was more than enough to split open her heart. She had thought that as Krause's wife, she should be his closest confidant, which was why she would selflessly supported him. Yet, he had hid this fact from her until today. Why?
Have I been so undeserving of your trust?
I didn't mean it like that. It was only that there was no need to mention it.
Is that all a wife means to you?
Calm down. Becoming passionate easily is one of your bad habits. God, women. I can't believe you would get so... Just calm down.
You're the one who's making me like that, aren't you? I've been supporting you as your wife ever since I married into this family. For your sake, I threw away the family I was born into, and I've been offering up my heart and my body to serve you. In return, this is what I get. How could you?
Krause grimaced, looking annoyed. Its expression effectively communicated how much he disliked this part of Natsuki, even if he didn't say it out loud.
It doesn't look like I will be any use to you anymore.
That's fine. I can resolve the troubles with the siblings by myself. I don't need your help, woman.
That's wrong! This is the Ushiramiya family's problem. It's true that I am not permitted to wear the family crest over my body, but I am still your wife. Even so, are you saying I'm not capable of helping you? Are you?
I especially wouldn't want to risk getting you involved. It would probably make your headaches even worse than they are right now. Take a rest for today. The siblings will deal with the siblings' problems. It has nothing to do with you. That is all. What a based husband. What a great husband. Man, don't you just want to marry this man? A dull headache tormented Natsuki. No matter what medicine she took, no matter what scent she burned, it wouldn't heal. In fact, simply wandering alone through the dark corridors and listening to the sound of the rain seemed to be a better cure. I may be Natsuhi, but I was never Ushiramiya Natsuhi. Fortitude. I've been despised and treated as a borrowed womb. Insulted when I couldn't fill that role. Even so, I have tried to properly perform my duties as a wife. Now, even my husband has rejected me. I've done my best raising my daughter, as if it were the last job left to me. However, I've had no release from my anger and sadness. They've caused me to subconsciously strain that relationship too. As I've been excessively strict in Jessica's education, she dislikes me thoroughly. She despises me for having no interest in anything but grades. There is no longer anything I can do for the Ushiramiya family. No, that's no good. Despite it all, I must help my husband and beat back the schemes of their greedy siblings. The family head won't be around much longer. Eventually, Kraus will succeed the head, and the next successor will be Jessica. Strictly speaking, the man who enters the family by marrying Jessica will become the next head, but it all comes to the same thing. I have to make Jessica an excellent successor, whom everyone will accept as worthy to take over the Ushiramiya family. In the days to come, greedy Ushiramiya Eva will probably be plotting to find some fault in the main family. And if all goes as she plans, Jessica will be dragged down from succession, with George set up in her place. It is regrettable, but George is a man, and even more has matured as a person, compared to Jessica, who is right in the middle of her rebellious period and whose grades are slightly below average. Damn, Mom. It can be seen at a glance who is more fit to succeed the head. So in order to secure Jessica's position, I need to turn her into an excellent person. After doing that, I want to find her an excellent husband worthy of the excellent person she will have become. A wonderful man who will truly accept Jessica, and stay with her throughout all of life's joys and sorrows. Was Natsuhi trying to entrust her daughter with fulfilling some kind of desire of her own? Damn. Can't fucking read. Natsuhi thought back to the days when she had no choice but to marry into the Ushiramiya family, because of that unavoidable fate. She had tried to block that from her memory. She had consciously forgotten it, and had actively attended to a life that she had been given as Ushiramiya Natsuhi. Is her school career important for the story? Yes. Yes, it is. You'll see in the next chapter. Yep. And in doing so, she had built a new life. But just now, it felt like all of that had been casually rejected. How should I think as I live my life? I do not know. Natsuhi helplessly rested her head against the glass of the window. The glass, which was cool thanks to the raindrops beating against it, felt somehow refreshing, even though it should have been emotionless. Right then, it seemed to be the only thing that could understand Natsuhi. At that point, even if someone had appeared, Natsuhi didn't intend to pay any attention to them. But she did pay attention, as it was her beloved daughter. Aww. Steady pace. Oh, it's you, Mom. What the heck are you doing in a place like this? I thought you were a ghost. Just like always, her words were rough and not at all like a girl's. Instinctively, words of rebuke rose in Natsuhi's throat. However, their strength gave out. They didn't escape her lips. Jessica, forgive me. My headache's been awful. Is awful. Damn. Please leave me be. I see. Jessica was seeing her mother in a position of feebleness for the first time, so she was considerably disconcerted. And they have the same hair! Oh my god, they are related. They have the same hair. Same bangs, at least.
Don't talk to her like that! She's trying her best! Your daughter, my beloved terrible grades. There they are.
Oh, I mean my daughter. Jessica was seeing her mother in a visual feebleness. Until now, she'd been filled with contempt for all the parents, including her mother. But now, those feelings had been completely swept away. They slept away. Her mother's utterly exhausted face had wiped them all out. In its place, the words George had told her floated back up in her mind. Our parents are doing their best in their own way. And because their families are counting on them, they can't afford to keep everything pleasant, and have a heavy responsibility to fight. Maybe her mother had been standing around in this dimly lit hallway, because no one had tried to understand that in her. Jessica hated her mother. So, she had no intention of speaking kindly to Natsu just because she was looking a bit frail. Damn! Her belovedly hated mother. So when she attempted to speak kindly to her mother anyway, she had to clench her fists to gather up the words from deep in her heart. I hate you. It sounds like you've really got your hands full with that meeting thing. It has nothing to do with you. Please go somewhere else. Is your headache bad? Should I go get some medicine? You don't have to trouble yourself. Please, leave me alone. Natsu wasn't being cold. She was being a bitch. Straight up bitch. She just wanted her daughter to stop being a bitch. She just wanted her daughter to go far away so that she wouldn't have to bump against Natsu's own bitchiness. Short temper. What a great mother. All these parents are great. I love every single parent in this game. They're all amazing. But there was no chance that Jessica would realize this. When I see you, my head hurts. It's a good thing you're not watching the stream then. You're only listening. So it's a good thing that you can't watch. Good thing you can't see me. Okay. Jessica hung her head, looking sad. Seeing that expression, Natsu recognized the kindness that Jessica was trying to muster. She gave her head a small shake to drive away her own unkind feelings. Then, I'll leave. I'll be with the other cousins so I don't get in the way of the adults. See you later. Wait there. She called to Jessica, who was trying to leave and look lonely, to a stop. What? Thank you for being so considerate. It isn't good for me to go to sleep and leave you alone. Don't talk like that. It'll bring bad luck. I've made you worried. But I'm okay now. I will go. If I let my daughter see me this feeble any longer, I'll only make her feel more uneasy. With that thought in mind, Natsu left Jessica with words of gratitude and made to depart. This time, Jessica called out to her mother's back. Natsu stopped and turned around, asking what business Jessica had with her. What business have you with me, girl? But Jessica herself didn't know why she stopped her mother. And for a while, she smiled wryly, muttering to herself as if she hesitated over what to say. She was poking around in her pocket when her hand touched something, and she took it out. Hey, Mom. I, was given a charm today. What was it? A charm against magic? I'm pretty sure that you were supposed to hang it from your doorknob, I think. I forgot. There's no point in me having it, so I'll let you take it. It was a scorpion charm that Maria had given her on the beach. Although she had heard of its various effects from Maria, Jessica's mind had gone blank, and she was just barely able to say even that much. Jessica, thinking that her mother probably wouldn't accept it anyway, immediately drew back the hand that she had stuck out, grasping the charm. When Natsuki came back to take it, she was extremely shocked. What is this? Some kind of prize toy? Well, I think it's something like that. I guess you wouldn't really expect a charm that looks like a toy to do anything. But her mother took the charm from where she grasped it in her hand. Thank you. I'll take good care of it. Sometime soon, in exchange. But why don't I give you a charm that was important to me when I was a child? It's not like that's why I gave it to you. But, well, you really say so. Then I will rest for now. My headache is awful. Try not to stay up too late. Sure. Natsu put the charm in her pocket and turned away. He then disappeared into the dark hall, never to be seen again. The end. Seems the weather will be like this all day tomorrow after all. Dang, this makes the good weather we had earlier feel like a lie. It was a lie. George, Nikki, and I were killing time in front. We're high. Damn. Battler-san, can you pass me that kush? You got it, George and Nikki. We're killing time in front of the parlor television. At that point, Jessica returned. Her face was still blank, but it looked like she calmed down a bit. A little since we'd last seen her. We need to stop adding in words that don't exist. Is Maria still in front of the portrait? Nope. She just came back, and she's sleeping over there on the sofa. It's getting pretty late for her after all. Looking at the clock, I saw it was a little past 10 p.m. Oh, little baby, going to sleep at 10 p.m.? Hey, speaking of, it's getting a little late. I might have to go to bed. For those uninitiated, it is 9:55 p.m. PST when I'm doing this. So that the joke is that it's 10 p.m. on the clock, and that's a pretty clock. Yeah, that's a great clock. God, look at the shiny parts of that clock. Hey, wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This clock only has 8 little marks. How are you guys supposed to do 12 hours if it's an 8 mark clock? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, even if we were planning to stay up all night, it was about time to head back to our room. Well, my mom did have a room prepared for us in the mansion. What do we do? I'd rather head back to the guest house. Going by what we saw of our parents, I think it'd be better if we weren't in the mansion. I agree. Feels like they're telling us kids to mind our own business and stay out of their way. Let's be good little boys and girls and do that. Oh, fucking bitch. Damn bitch. This is mother of the year. As we were talking about this, Aunt Rosa came into the parlor. She was looking all over restlessly, probably trying to find Maria. Aunt Rosa! You haven't beaten Maria in the last 10 minutes. Do you want to do it now? What the fuck? I hate this lady. If you're looking for Maria, she's over there on the sofa. Thank you. Why? She's out cold. We must move her to a bed. If you'd like, I can carry her over to a bed. Thanks. That would be wonderful. What the fuck is this place? Are you all heading back over to the guest house? Or are you trying to stay in the room Natsu-Nason has prepared here? We were just talking about that. We just decided to head over to the guest house. I see. Then could I ask you to take Maria with you? I'd feel much better reassured if she stays with all of you cousins. Behind those words, she seemed to be concealing some regret that the adults, herself included, had deeply hurt Maria's feelings. Oh, I believe it. Leave it to us, Aunt Rosa. After all, we do have an expert at comforting Maria with us. Are you talking about me? I couldn't do it myself. We'll need everyone all together. Alright. Battler, weren't you the one who hit it off with Maria when you were messing around earlier? As we said this, Aunt Rosa smiled, looking truly happy. Thank you, everyone. It looks like our meeting will last until very late. So, while I'm sorry to burden you with this, I will be counting on you to take care of Maria. What a pretty clock. Hey, Maria, are you sound asleep? We're going back to the guest house. Maria muttered something indistinct, rolled over, fell back asleep. Looked like she was sleeping deeply. She's really out cold. I'd hate to wake her. Right, I'll carry her. Stop moving her neck like that, man. Maria's body was much lighter than it looked. I lifted her up and put her on George and Aniki's back. It was raining hard outside, and Aniki couldn't hold an umbrella and carry Maria at the same time. It looked like Aunt Rosa would come with us as far as the guest house to help out. However, when she heard Uncle Krause's voice call out to her, she had no choice but to return. Now, that's a problem. I have to go back now. Is everyone returning to the guest house? After we left the hall on the way to the entrance, the door to the servant room opened and Shannon checked out.
It's grown very dark, so allow me to guide you.
That would be great, Shannon-chan, Rosa said with a very man voice.
That would be great, Shannon-chan. George-kun is going to carry Maria there. Could you hold an umbrella for him? Yes, certainly.
Yes. Shannon-chan brought up the umbrellas for each of us and a flashlight to guide the way. As we opened the front door, the downpour was quite terrific. Looks like we wouldn't have any spare time to take a pleasant walk and enjoy the nighttime rose garden. Aniki, is she too heavy? Want me to carry her? It's okay. I can at least carry Maria-chan.
I'm truly grateful. Please take care of Maria. Sure, you got it. And I guess this is good night, Aunt Rosa. And I will see them over there and return here. Yes, please.
Aunt Rosa watched us leave.
Maria, I'm sorry for everything.
Wow, redeemed! I can't believe the character... No. Rosa's mumbling voice did not reach the person. Oh my god, neither of you were there! Neither of you were fucking there for the traumatic scene last time. I forgot that. Rosa beat up Maria last time. Straight up. Not cool. Not epic. She was just wailing on her. Made her like fall over. Start crying. She was already crying. And then she left her outside. Yeah. It's true. This all happened. Very bad mother. Anyway, Rosa's mumbling voice didn't reach the person in question, nor any of the kids, but disappeared beneath the sound of the rain. Hey, flashback to when Rosa was... Oh, right here! Yeah, this was the scene. It's true. I don't want to see it again, but we will. After cutting through the rainy rose garden, we arrived at the guest house. Ha! If only I applied for the position of Maria carrier, and I would have gotten a chance to have Shannon-chan. I don't know. Fuck you, motherfucker. You're the fucking goddamn. Shannon-chan's huge boobs. We've not gotten to death yet. We're so fucking close to getting to death. I swear to God. Rubbing all over my arm. Wow. That's not why I did it. It's a misunderstanding, man.
I thought if I didn't walk like this, George-sama would get all wet.
Come on, quit babbling and go in. That's a dive cringe. No.
No, it's just quirky. It's just quirky guy.
Someone's gonna die soon though. Like, right? We're going to bed. Wake up. Everyone's gonna be alive, definitely. After being urged on by Jessica, we folded up our umbrellas and went into the guest house.
Has anyone gotten their clothes wet? I can bring towels if you want.
You don't need to worry about any of us that much. Thanks, Shannon-chan. Ah, that's right. We were planning to play cards or something. Would you care to join us for a bit?
Huh? Who had the night shift on today's schedule? I believe we had a special schedule during the family conference. Also, I think a few alterations have been made, so I will go back and check.
Wait, if you have to go all the way back to the mansion to find out, don't force yourself.
Oh, that's alright. I can find out from the servant room in the guest house. Please excuse me for a short while.
Shannon-chan gave a quick bow and went into the guest room service house room. That was the words. The rest of us headed to the cousin's room and decided to put Maria to bed for the time being. Maria was sleeping very deeply. There was absolutely no sign of her eyes opening. For now, we go get some soft drinks from our room's refrigerator and drink those while playing cards or something. A nicely stocked room.
Oh. Hanan-kun? You're here too, Kinji-sama. What has happened with tonight's shift?
Ross-sama has given an order. He made some sizable changes to the shift schedule. Indeed. Dodo-san now has a night shift in the mansion. Shannon and Kanon have been on the night shift in the guest house. Kumasawa-san and I have been ordered to sleep in the guest house. Just now, a phone call name, saying that once you arrived... What? A phone call came. A phone call name. This phone is named George now. Only refer to this phone as George. What about the other George? Don't refer to him. Saying that once you arrived, we were also to remain here for the rest of the night.
Huh? That certainly is a sizable change. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion have been completely reversed, haven't they?
Originally, Shannon and Kanon would have been assigned to the night shift in the mansion, while the night shift in the guest house, where all the relatives were staying, had been assigned to Goda, who had an absolute abundance of experience in entertaining. Kumasawa should have been sleeping in the guest house, while Genji should have been sleeping in the mansion. However, it seemed that Kraus had suddenly ordered the schedule to be modified. Shifts at the guest house and the mansion had all been reversed, and Genji was spending the night in the guest house. It's probably because of Beatrice Isama's letter.
Why, probably.
After such a mysterious letter appeared, it was only natural that Kraus-sama would suspect one of us. We served directly under the master, so Kraus-sama tried as best he could to keep us far away from the family conference. Genji, Shana, and Kanon were all permitted to wear the— Why? Tell me why. Kanon's voice is easier for me to do than fucking Battler's, and Battler's is like... It's basically just my fucking voice. I don't know. It's just because I'm talking softer. The One-Winged Angel and the servants who had all directly under Kinzo. Of course, since they were working for the Ushiramiya family, they had to obey anyone's orders, but their only boss was Kinzo. Since only Kinzo held the right to employ them, even Kraus could not have them dismissed on his own accord. Because of this, Kraus and the others often viewed the servants as Kinzo's underlings and shunned them. One-Winged Angel— Did I fucking say it again? Motherfucker! Did I fucking say One-Winged Angel again? One-Winged Eagle, god damn it! I didn't fucking say One-Winged Angel again, god damn it! In fact, Kinzo seldom let anyone other than him into the study. God damn. I can't fucking read. Sephiroth is Beatrice. They both have luxurious hair. They share hair care routines. This sudden shift change was probably a clear expression of a sense of mistrust that had caused. Considering the time Kinzo had left to live, this would definitely be the last family conference before the problem of the inheritance come up. On top of that, the mysterious letter that claimed to be from Beatrice had dropped out of the blue. Sephiroth is in a pretty dress, always. Haven't you seen his funny coat? That's just a dress. Kraus definitely wanted to keep Kinzo's loyal subjects away from the table of such a delicate and important discussion. If you would excuse me, I will go to rest. If anything happens, call me immediately. Our company tonight is special.
Yes,
Certainly.
Genji-sama.
Genji nodded back, went behind the screen, took off his jacket, and slowly began to relax after a day's work of tension.
Yes, certainly, Genji-sama.
Yes, certainly, Genji-sama. The ones who just returned now, were they the children?
Yes. The other relatives are having a conference in the mansion. It looked like it would drag out for quite some time.
Then we've got it easy. It's already this late, and there's this weather. The rest of the relatives will probably spend the night in their rooms in the mansion.
Yes, probably. I'm only saying this because Genji-sama isn't around, but I'm a little happy I was sent to the guest house, I guess. A guest house.
Oh? Why's that? Because you can stay away from Madam and Ava-sama? Those bullies? Or do you have another reason?
It's not as though I have another reason.
I see. Then let's do our best together with the night shift. I'm counting on you, Nei-san.
Just now, I was asked to go to the children's room to play with them.
Kanon hung her head apologetically, gazing at Kanon's uncertainty. Kanon didn't try to meet her eyes and spoke curtly as he sighed.
It looked like he didn't plan on indulging his sister. You can't. You were assigned to a night shift. Besides which, it isn't necessary for furniture like us to respond to an invitation to play. You understand, right? Yes, I do understand. Shannon's shoulders dropped slightly, drooped. She had already expected Kanon, a stickler for the rules, would say something like that, but she still seemed a little discouraged. As Kanon flipped through a logbook, he spoke without facing Shannon. That means the children will be waiting for you. You'll have to apologize to them and tell them you have a night shift and you won't be able to stay with them. Go ahead and come back. Huh? Yes. I'll go apologize and come back. Shannon hurriedly stood up from her seat before her brother's mood would change and flew out of the servant's room after giving a quick bow. As she watched her go, Kanon took a single deep breath. Genji's voice came out from beyond the screen. Kanon, I will be here. You can go too. Genji-sama. Shannon was the only one called. It's not as though I was invited. That is only because you were not there at the time. If you had been, you would have been invited as well. It is good to play as a child from time to time. No, such a thing is not necessary for me. Human children may have a need to play, but we are furniture. Is that so? Mei-san is also furniture. Even if she pretends to be a person, it will only hurt her later. I understand that, so I will try not to get too close to people. That's all. Genji did not say anything after that. After a while, he stood up and used a pot of hot water to make a pot of cocoa, serving some to Kanon as well. Yo, try this shit, man. Oh damn, this is gas. Is that for real? I had no clue! They do get paid, yeah. You pay your furniture, you just can't, furniture just doesn't get, furniture, yeah, you pay for your furniture, and then you pay your furniture if it's a rental. Dumbass, you're too loud! Wake Maria up. Battler was so surprised that he yelled obnoxiously and scattered his cards everywhere. His voice caused Maria to turn over once, but she soon fell asleep into a deep sleep. Jessica gave him a jab, and he lowered his voice. Still, seriously, now that you mention it, they really did have that kind of atmosphere, didn't they? Now I see. George Umineko is. George couldn't be seen anywhere in the room. A short while ago, when Shannon came into the room, George suddenly said he'd forgotten something in the mansion and needed to go back and get it. Yo, you gotta give your chair $5. Do that shit now. You don't want your chair to be. You don't want to be lacking money for your chair. You gotta get some debt collectors after you. We're gonna get the most fucking cutesy scene ever in a sec. Shannon said that she would guide him, just like she had on the way to the guest house, and the two of them departed together. Well, there's actually been sides of it for a while now. You know, questions about hobbies and favorite things. I always thought it was a bit much for a passing interest. Look what's happened now. Oh fuck, not the unions. Come to think of it, I get the feeling that George Uniki's always been overly nice to Shannon-chan. Now I get it. Okay, like no joke, the first time I read this, I kind of cried at the scene. It was really fucking sweet because I knew some shit was gonna happen. According to the weather report, it looks like it will be at its worst tonight. It also seems like it will be the last day tomorrow, though it should get a little better. It may have been a scene like that. I may have not been this scene, but it was a scene like this. Really? Then maybe the boat won't arrive until the day after tomorrow. Hey, hope it doesn't interfere with your work on Monday. Haha, I actually already knew the typhoon would be coming in beforehand. Just in case, I made sure I didn't have any plans for Monday, so it's okay. I may not look it, but I really am the type that can plan ahead in his schedule.
George puffed out his chest, acting proud. Compared to the calm appearance George always had as the oldest cousin, he now looked amusingly like a little kid. Shannon chuckled at his abrupt contrast.
Praise! It's no surprise you're so well prepared, as someone who will bring prosperity to his company someday.
Well, making a company prosper really is a tough job. Money isn't the only thing that's important. I learned well when studying under my father. Making a company prosper is like owning a castle and leading your subordinates. My dad really loves reading about great leaders during the warring periods of Japan, a hobby that's probably been influenced by the fact that he shares Toyotomi Hideyoshi's name. Much of his philosophy on managing business comes from talking about them. Did you know? Did you know? Super Mario Sunshine was made on a rush budget, and they were struggling to get it to work on the GameCube. Dude, I could see George on Did You Know Gaming. Did you know? Sorry, I can't fucking say Did You Know anymore. Did you know? Takeda Shingen, who was feared as the leader of the strongest cavalry corps in the warring periods, started out with his troops in a complete disarray, and didn't have the kind of strong leadership necessary to utilize them well. Like and subscribe for more Did You Know Gaming.
Is that true? That's a little unexpected.
In order to unite his troops, Shingen showed his excellent leadership in many ways. For example, when a soldier succeeded in battle, he would immediately honor them with a medal. Normally that kind of thing was put off until after the war, and they were all awarded at once. He continued this diligently while on the field of battle, and immediately showing his appreciation for his troops' military exploits motivated them in extremely significant fashion. Also, whenever one of his troops was brought down by an illness, he would be the first to rush up to them and care for them, and so on. Takeda Shingen wasn't the man who led the strongest cavalry corps in the warring period. He was the person who cared the most for his troops throughout the warring period.
And because he was that kind of person, all of his troops went along with him.
The truth was, Anna had already heard this story several years ago. She didn't fucking care. She wasn't listening. She was just looking at this man and his thick, juicy glasses. And his soft pocket thing. But whenever a discussion of his father led to this sort of topic, George would always glow and look like he was having a great time. So Shannon just smiled without interrupting, urging him to continue. Of course, in a capitalist world, money determines both your strength and the height of your fortifications. Think juicy glasses. But you can't build a castle or succeed in war by yourself. Such things can only be accomplished with the support of many subordinates, by borrowing the strength. After understanding this, when I look at my father's back, I realize how immature I am. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
George, it's still raining?
I can see clearly now. I can clearly see how much competition he had to overcome before building up all he has now.
George-sama, you truly look up to your father. I'm jealous.
Sorry, that's not how I meant it.
I'm sorry. That's not how I meant it either.
The two of them look awkwardly at their feet. Shannon had no parents. She had no wait. Shannon had no where is it? Shannon had no parents. That was so fucking delayed. Oh, I have nothing in there. It's the first time I used a fucking sound effect in like 800 years. She had been brought up in an orphanage owned by Kinzo called the Fukin. The fucking house. The Fukuin House. Gospel House. Under the guidance of Kinzo, their honorary director, the orphanage offered those members who excelled a chance for the on-the-job servant experience. Here's the fucking house. If their efforts met with Kinzo's approval, they'd be able to leave the orphanage and work as servants for the Ushirimiya family. Not the fucking house. Don't go to the fucking house! This was considered to be the highest honor for those who lived in the orphanage. Servants from the fucking house took all the names on sorry. Servants from the Fukuin house all took the names of the character on in them while they served. Shannon, Canon. So Shannon wasn't her real name. The same went for Canon. All the members of the Fukuin house were orphans. At least, they were all people who had been separated from their parents under special circumstances. Because of this, the orphans had been taught to think of each other as their own family. Only family. That's why it seemed so natural for both of them when Canon called Shannon his sister. And while both Shannon and Canon were working in the mansion today, there were several other servants possessing the On character in their names, such as Manon and Lennon, who often worked in the rotation schedule. That's not going to be important. However, there were not many servants who stayed with the Ushirimiya family for long. It was standard for them to quit after 3 years. So you could probably say that Shannon, who had been working for 10 years, was a notable exception to the rule. Danon. Yeah, there's any On. Lennon. John Lennon working at the fucking house. Max On, so true. Wax on, wax on. Working as a servant in the Ushirimiya family was a heavy burden to bear. The pay wasn't bad after all. Aim-law. Working for 3 full years would earn more than what was needed to enter the mainstream society. That was why, even though the orphans realized what a harsh task working for the Ushirimiya family was, they still hoped to be accepted. Vaughn. Oh my god. You guys are having a field day. Maybe you guys should go to the fucking... Mion and Shion confirmed servants, so true. Me and my besties at the fucking house. Maybe the fact that Shannon managed to continue working for 10 years wasn't because she had more than willpower than the other servants. She was making that fucking bank. Maybe she'd gotten stuck working for 10 years because she didn't have the courage to say she wanted to quit. Enzo wouldn't even trust his own blood relatives, and those excellent servants sent from the fucking house were the only ones he could rely on. Because of that, Kenzo would sometimes allow them to wear the family crest, as servants under his direct control, and have them work closely to him. You've been working here for almost 10 years now, right? Must have saved up a lot of money by now. Be a shame if married into and got all your money.
I wonder. It's not like there's anything in particular I'd like to buy. After all, a few million yen isn't enough to live off the rest of your life.
So the reason you've been working all this time wasn't to hit some target sum?
Yes, that's right. I have nowhere to go outside this mansion. And I've been getting along well with Milady and the other young servants. The madam does scold me sometimes, but caring for the roses and cleaning the mansion is fun.
Paddington Bear! Oh, so true. But that can't be said of your entire life, Canon-chan. No. Sayo-chan. I know your name. Shannon cast her eyes downward when she heard her real name. She understood what George was trying to say and fell silent. There's something I've learned. I continue to study even after becoming an adult and a full-fledged member of society. Doxed. Doxed? He just doxed her? He did! Oh my god, he did dox her! Bro, why would you dox her? That's right. I have your IP address, Shannon-chan. A human's life is not as monotonous or short as we had thought when we were kids. All school-aged kids have certain fears they can't shake. Oh wait, this is it. All school-aged kids. They wonder whether they'll live the rest of their lives like sleepy classes after a monotonous and boring school day, spending their time in carefree laziness without anything interesting happening until it's over. He's gonna DDoS her, no! Shannon-chan, you better increase your VPN because I can read every fucking thing on your computer right now. However, life's only that for underage students. Compared to a human's life, the time they spend as students is nothing more than a blink of the eye, a period where they can break through the shells of their immaturity. The inside of a shell might be a hot, suffocating, boring world, but the world beyond that shell is vast and filled with limitless possibilities. So far, your life has been trapped inside a shell called Shannon. I think you're under the mistaken impression that your life will continue like this forever.
That's...
Shannon couldn't deny those words. She had just been doxxed right to her face. What was he gonna do next? Say her internet history? She'd been unable to harbor any clear doubts about her lifestyle. And since she had never had any hope or goals of changing herself, she'd lazily continued living the way she always had. And if he asked whether whether this life was satisfying, she wouldn't have been able to nod. She may have been intentionally averting her eyes from the truth. Without George's admonishments, she would have continued pretending not to notice as her real life slipped away bit by bit, neglected.
George-sama, is it wrong for me to continue living this way?
Yeah, it is. You fucking nerd. You fucking loser. Oh, and by the way, didn't you break one of our rules just now? George immediately gave a strict answer, then broke into a mischievous smile. Shannon already knew what she was being chided for, and she hung her head again, apparently embarrassed. Didn't you promise not to use Sama when the two of us are alone?
I couldn't obey that as a promise. But if it was an order, I would have to obey it. Because I'm based.
Then it's an order.
Yes, certainly, George-san.
As Shannon hung her head, her face red, she said George's name again, this time using San. Yes, that's fine, Sayo-chan. That's right, I have your government name. Hey, what's this in my hand? Is that a birth certificate? George smiled at Shannon-chan. No, Sayo, to praise her small act of bravery. The short exchange alone made it clear how far back the relationship must have stretched. For a long while, the two talked as if the weather raging about them didn't even enter their thoughts. They talked about the many memories they built during the relationship that no one else knew about. Every once in a while, a flash of lightning would attempt to interrupt them, but this could never sully neither the roses nor the time they spent blushing at each other. Call me Vin-san? No. Because you didn't dare use an honorific for me, why should I use the same courtesy towards you? What? That's right. You have to serve me now, because I have your government name. I have something I wanted to show you.
What could it be?
George, who had been speaking eloquently, suddenly started to stutter. Watching him, Shannon seemed to guess something. George timidly searched through his pocket. Something got caught in the depths of his pocket, and just like the stuttering George, it took a little while to get it out. It was a very small box. Small box covered in a deep blue velvet. The name's called Pass. That's not a good sign. That peculiar shape was enough to tell anyone what was resting inside. Who was resting inside? It's me! I'm the little guy inside the box! Shannon had prepared her heart somewhat, certain beforehand that this was what he'd been planning. But even so, when she actually saw it, she couldn't avoid blushing once more. George opened the small box, took something out, and held it out for Shannon to take. I want you to take this.
I couldn't accept something so valuable.
You can't take it?
That's not, worthy of such a thing.
Sayo, this isn't a request. It's an order. Take this ring, okay?
If it's an order, I cannot disobey.
Yeah, that's right. Well done. Look at her face. She's looking slightly off into— she's looking at me! Oh my god! Shauna Umineko's looking at me? Holy shit. That's so cool.
What the fuck is that in the corner?
Shauna, not willing to show her bright red face, timidly accepted the ring from George's hand while still staring at the ground. No, she's staring at me. Bro, just come out and say it. That ring wasn't a simple accessory. It was a noble object, meant since ancient times to be offered to a special woman under special circumstances. I'm blushing. Stop. Stop it.
I am blushing. Stop.
Kiss her? She's taken now. I can't. She just got a ring. But I mean, she's the one looking over here. Therefore, while George could order her to take it, he could not order anything beyond that. Anything beyond that would depend, not on an order, but on Shannon's, no, Sayo's own will. Fight for her? No, I'm good. It's time for a kiss? Guys, you know, a little too kiss focused. We had one kiss. We had one kiss. No more. I'm all kissed out for today. So from here on, I'm not ordering you anymore, Sayo. I want you to give me your sorry, fuck. I want you to give me your answer by tomorrow, without using words. Do you understand?
How should I?
I won't order you any further. So this isn't an order. But a ring is something you put on your finger, after all. If you like it, you can put it on any finger you choose. Shannon had only pretended not to know. She already understood what he wanted her to do. But she was standing at a huge crossroads of her life. Look how late it's gotten. Let's call it a day. George turned away from Shannon, acting a bit bluntly. Then I could probably order you to wear it on your left hand. You might be timid and dependent enough to actually obey that kind of an order. But I want at least this last step to be done by your own will, Sayo. Understand?
Yes.
So, that's my order. I want you to think about it well tonight. Show me your answer tomorrow. Shannon nodded back. Today was the culmination of their many days spent together. This moment certainly hadn't come as a surprise for Shannon. We should be getting back to the guest house soon. If we take any longer, we'll make everyone worry about us.
I'm sorry, I just remembered something I had to do in the mansion, so, I have to go back to the mansion.
Something this late? Really? George stared into Shannon's face as he laughed mischievously.
What if her hands were exploded then, George? What would she do then, huh? Where do you expect to put it? On her toe? What's wrong with you, you freak?
Oh wait, shit. He definitely saw through Shannon's lie. However, he saw how she felt, so he sort of understood that she would be so embarrassed that she didn't want to be alone. So, because George realized the meaning behind Shannon's lie, he accepted it. Later, skater.
Later, skater.
Are you gonna do a jump scare with a... Yeah, I fucking knew. Fuck you. God damn you. Silly little book. I'm reading you. I'm reading you, not you reading me. Damn, it's 11 p.m. Shannon entered the entrance hall to the mansion with a tottering gait. A mix of exhalation, yeah sure, and an uncertainty gave her a feeling that she couldn't easily describe. It swelled up in her chest until she felt like she was about to burst. And then she blew up in the main dining hall. After stopping for a second in front of her servant room to take a deep breath and calm her heart, she opened the door. Boom, boom. Wait, this song fucking slaps. What song is this? Hope. I fucking love this song. I want to learn this on piano. Ba boom, ba boom. The small bombs got to her. No, it was in the ring. She swallowed the ring. Inside, Goda, who had been ordered to take the midnight shift at the mansion tonight, was absorbed in a worn-out crossword puzzle magazine. He looked up for an instant to see if one of the family had come, but when he realized it was a fellow servant, he returned to his puzzle as if nothing had happened.
Genji-san told me to come by and help you.
Ah, is that so? That's a relief! I was just about to go check on the mansion was fully locked up, but I felt uneasy about leaving this room unmanned. After all, Kraus-sama and the others' meeting looks as though it will continue for quite some time. They might request some tea at any moment.
That's true. Then, what shall we do? Should I watch over?
In that case, forgive me, Shana-san, but I'll ask you to patrol the mansion. I will stay here awaiting the family's orders.
Yes.
Shannon was slightly disgusted. Even though she'd come over here to help as a favor, she was casually being forced to do a job of the person actually on duty. Furthermore, after one-sidedly forcing that task on her, Goto returned to his magazine once again and became immersed in his crossword puzzle. Shit about her, head as a token sign of respect for elder. Then left the room to patrol the mansion. Why would they need to lock the mansion? They're on an island. What if the wind gets in? Hello? Thanks for her being a little ticked off. She managed to suppress the floating feeling she'd been having just now. And anyway, she couldn't let Genji or Kanan see her looking like this. She wanted a little time to herself until her heart calmed down, so maybe going on patrol wouldn't be so bad. Boom, 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 boom. She began to hear the tumultuous voices of the family discussion coming from the dining hall. Someone was speaking at great length, only to be interrupted by someone else. This second person also began to speak in a very long, drawn-out fashion, until yet another person interrupted. That kept on repeating. It was as though their displeasures were seeping out through their voices. She had been told not to go to the guest house, so it would be bad if Kraus discovered her. Thinking this, Shannon dashed past the dining hall. Then she went along a prearranged route through the dark mansion, checking all the locks were secure. That look's secure, and that look's secure, and that look's secure, and then she walked down the hall, checking each window. There were no humans on Rokenjima other than those connected to the family, so locking up didn't really serve much of a purpose. Like someone in the fucking chat said, but the rain! No one had been in the habit of locking up the Ushirame head family, at least not until Natsuki had scolded them for being careless. The metal fixtures on the window were ice cold, and as she checked them one by one, the glow in her heart began to cool down. Huh? It's a butterfly. At that time, she thought she saw something twinkling across the hall. Twinkling? How could anything be twinkling through the darkness of the hall? She figured she must have been imagining it, but still held her breath. Grasping for a curtain, curtain! She fearfully gazed down the hall. However, other than the occasional crack of thunder brightening down the hallway, she was unable to glimpse any flicker again. It must have been her imagination after all. Maybe her heart was so agitated that she'd seen something that didn't even exist. What if a wild goose gets in? That's true. What if a wild goose got in? What if a whole gaggle of geese got in? Anna went back to checking the windows. However, a certain unnerving memory was resurrected in the back of her mind. It was that ghost story, which had been passed down amongst the servants who served the Ushiramiya head family. The mansion had two different masters, one of a day and one of a night. Beatrice, the master of the night, would sometimes fly around the mansion in the form of sparkling butterflies. That was the story. The goose of the witch of Gusenjima. It's true, those are the Uminekos. Come to think of it, didn't Kanan-kun once say that he'd seen it with his own eyes? No, he got sulky whenever I said he must have imagined it and refused to believe him. Could it possibly be true? The roar of the thunder gave no answer. When the seagulls make you— that should have been the name of this game. Umineko, when you cry. What's happening on Ushiomiya Island? Hey, bitch. Hey, bestie. Playing the fucking, Sorry. Boom, 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 boom. What a nice woman. Butterfly. Butterfly in the sky. I can cry twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book. I'm gonna fucking die. This is the fucking— looks like a "Where Are They Now" section. Kanan hit it big at a government facility, and now he's— Kumasawa died because of so much fish. No one knows what happened to Nanjo. His body was never found. George fucking fell asleep on a bed. Valor and Jessica? Who knows? And Kinzo? Well, Kinzo learned the true meaning of Christmas that day. But what about Beatrice? When's it gonna do the crack sound effect? Oh, it's doing the pretty one. I like when it does that. That's my favorite end of chapter thing. Oh, cool. 8 a.m.? Nothing's gonna happen at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. The sacrifice is chosen by the key. That seems good. No, that seems easy. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Genji tightened his bow tie and looked outside through a crack in the curtains. Maybe the rain had died down a tiny bit since the previous night, but the thick rain clouds didn't seem like they'd be letting any trace of the morning sun get by. The morning was dim and far from refreshing. It seems it will last all day after all. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Genji-san. Sama. Can you say Sama? Sama. Ganon finished checking his appearance and exited the washroom. On their normal schedule, it was rare for anyone to have suffer straight from a midnight shift to an early morning shift. They were on a special schedule for the 2 days of a family conference. However, unless a typhoon passed today, the relatives' stay on this island would last until tomorrow. Ganon thought it would be best prepared for a special schedule to last an extra day. The two of them left the guest house, opening their umbrellas. Just having a nice little jaunt. Nothing bad's happening. Nope. The rose garden had been devastated by the wind and rain on the previous night. Even though they'd spent several days making it beautiful to welcome the guest, one stormy night was enough to ruin it. Ganon sighed. The two headed for the mansion. They were supposed to meet up with Goda and prepare breakfast. Goda was such a perfectionist that he had probably already woken up, and was probably already heading back, preparing a breakfast as exquisite and elegant as glasswork. They reached the overhang by the entrance to the mansion and folded up their umbrellas. Genji took a bundle of several keys from his pocket and unlocked the front door. The Ushiomiya family mansion was the only thing on Rokenshima. For the past, they hadn't been in the habit of locking up. However, Natsuki had ordered the mansion to be locked up from midnight's early morning. Ever since then, unlocking the door in the early morning had become part of the servant's morning shift. The task had been given to Genji and Kanon, so that Goda could start preparing breakfast as soon as he woke up. Since silence had fallen into the mansion, giving the impression that the mansion itself was still asleep. Well then, let's begin the morning chores. Yes, sir.
The two of them split up and began opening the curtains throughout the mansion. If the curtains stayed closed, the mansion would remain enveloped in faint darkness, as though it was still trapped in the previous night. Ooh, it's so rainy and light out. Following the well-rehearsed procedure, Countdown went around the mansion, opening the curtains for one window and another without having to retrace the steps once. Honestly, best part about Umineko, it's raining so much. I love it. I love rain. Even with this horrible weather, drawing the curtains made it feel just a little bit more like morning. While doing that, he passed in front of the kitchen. Even though he hadn't smelled anything yet, his stomach started aching for some of Goda's prized cooking. Good morning. He tried to greet Goda, who had been getting breakfast ready, but Goda was nowhere to be seen. The kitchen was darkly lit, and not only were the curtains not open, but the fan wasn't even running. It was still cold, without any trace of the fire being lit. Though of course there were no signs of breakfast being made either. Though it would have been inexcusable, perhaps Goda had overslept. Even servants were only human. They sometimes sleep in and show up late. In rare cases that such a thing happens, it's part of a servant's code to hide the unslept scene before anyone notices, smoothly cover it up, and make sure the family never even realizes that anything had gone wrong. Kanlon took the receiver of the phone that had been fitted to the wall and dialed the number of the extension line in the servant's sleeping room. He couldn't hear the characteristic sound of a dial tone. Kanlon tried picking up the receiver again, but even so he couldn't hear the usual dial tone. He tried dialing again, but it had no apparent effect. Could the lightning last night have damaged the machine, breaking the extension line? The equipment in this mansion was all worn out. Kanlon fully understood that even the smallest thing could have caused it to break down. He gave up trying to wake Goda with the phone and dashed over to the servant's sleeping room. Hello! How long has it been since I stopped sleeping and started lazily staring up at the ceiling? That vague sense of awakening was part of Natsu's usual morning experience. He always slept lightly. He couldn't even sleep at all without medicine. To Natsu, sleep was definitely not a happy thing. When she looked outside, she saw that it was still pouring. She hadn't sensed a tiny amount of light. She might have mistakenly thought it was still the previous night. She herself was one of the hosts, so she mustn't wake up later than her guests. Urging herself on, she raised up her body. She still hadn't completely recovered from yesterday's weariness. No one would torment her as long as she remained inside this room, and her headache hadn't gotten any worse here. This room was the only place she could find peace. And when she left, it meant returning to the world where her husband's siblings were trying to stab at each other in the back. Hi, it's going well. Full disclosure, I already know what I've read Umineko by myself, but I'm just reading it again, with my own voices. It's going great. Hope you're having a good time, or good night, or whatever fucking time it is. In that case, wouldn't it be better just stay locked up in this room forever? So true, girl. You should just stay here. Don't worry about going outside. You definitely shouldn't look at your door. That ridiculous notion brought up a bitter smile to Natsu's face. She was starting to sound like Kinzo. Though she had often complained about Kinzo staying locked up in his own room and refusing to attend anyone else, the truth was that she longed to do the same. Natsu gave her head a small shake, and her fantasy was replaced by the reawakening of her usual headache. Ah, it's a great day. Can't wait to open my door. When she reached for the doorknob, trying to leave the room, her hand touched the scorpion charm that had hung from before the sleep of the previous night. It was Maria's charm, which Natsu had received from Jessica. Didn't Jessica say something about it having the power to repel magic, telling her to hang it from her doorknob? Maybe it was thanks to this charm that at least this room had been protected from the malice of her husband's siblings. As she thought this, her mood began to become a little bit more cheerful. I wonder if I had Jessica to thank for this little bit of peaceful sleep I managed to receive. Then Natsu remembered. That's right. Last night I promised Jessica that I'd give her a charm of my own in exchange for this one, didn't I? Natsu opened the drawer of her dresser and took out an antique accessory case that she had treasured when she was a child. God, she's just like me, just when I black out and I can't see anything anymore because of my great migraine headaches. Inside, there were so many small objects that Natsuki had thought were valuable at that time. I mean, honestly, me personally, I still find it crazy because, like, I get headaches sometimes. But some people literally do not experience headaches their entire life. I find that crazy. What percentage was it? It was like a big percent. I'm definitely not stopping to look this up. What percent of people don't have headaches? Why the fuck did Chris Ross punch 90 to 99% of the population? So 4% of the population say they have never experienced it. That's crazy. Guys, it's not a it's not a game of how many headaches you can have. It's how well you're able to survive. And from amidst those, she pulled out a red pouch. Inside was a small, round mirror, about 10 centimeters across. It looked quite old, but the design on the back of the mirror was very ornate. It felt like something with historical value. At the very least, it seemed much more authentic than the other charm, which looked like a plastic scorpion keychain. She had heard that this was a spiritual mirror for warding off evil spirits. She had been given it specifically by her grandmother when her grandfather's mementos had been distributed. Oh no. No, it's not headaches. I personally mostly never get headaches, but I still get them sometimes. It had been believed since long ago that a strange power resided in this mirror. Perhaps someone thought that it could reflect calamity and malice in the same way it reflected light. Natsuki returned the mirror to its pouch. It would probably be a fitting object to hand over to Jessica. Just as she placed it in her pocket, the sound of someone knocking on the door suddenly echoed throughout the room. Yes? Good morning, madam. It is Genji. My apologies for waking you so early. I'm coming now. What is it? No servant had ever come to her this early in the morning, nor had they come to wake her in person. Perhaps something bad had happened. No, maybe it's something good, like it's a surprise cake. Maybe some fatal oversight had been made while preparing breakfast, something that would shame the household in front of her guests. Natsuki took a deep breath of anticipation for whatever troubles she was about to hear of. As she opened the door, Genji once again gave a morning greeting while bowing deeply. Natsuki tentatively responded. Good morning. Did something happen? My apologies. It seemed that the telephones had been broken down during the lightning last night. The extension telephone isn't working, so please forgive my coming to see you directly. The extension telephone isn't working. That would be troublesome. Will it be possible to fix it? I am afraid I do not know the location of the damage. Later on, I would like to call in an expert and have him repair it. Does that mean we'll be unable to have it repaired until the typhoon passes? And it will remain broken down for the duration of our guest's stay. Will that hamper our efforts to care for our guests? We will do all to ensure that there are no problems. Very well. I'm counting on you to make sure we have no blunders. Natsuki let out a small sigh of relief. Thank God nothing bad happened in the middle of the night. Nope, it's all great. You've been prepared for the worst. But damage to the telephone wasn't the kind of trouble she was worried about. But again, even this would probably be enough to spark sarcasm from Ava. Natsuki gave her head a little shake. Are the preparations for breakfast proceeding well? As to that, we haven't been able to find Goda. The arrangements for breakfast have yet been carried out. What did you say? Natsuki was indignant. To her, this was a much bigger problem than the phone not working. Despite that, this piece of information was the part that had been postponed. Why did everything go well most of the time, and then come to something like this when relatives were visiting? Natsuki put her head on her forehead and shook her head like a little dog, trying to get all the wet water off their cold, shivering body. Well, I suppose he slept in. At any rate, just see to it that someone hurries up and prepares breakfast. I don't care who. What? Natsuki exited. She was so excited that she just ran out into the hall, exited into the hall, and turned around for a second to close the door to her room. The creepy thing she saw there silenced her completely. It was an unpleasant sight. as though someone had dipped their fingers in reddish-black liquid and scratched at the door around the doorknob. Probably some sort of awful prank, arranged by someone who wanted this to look as though they tried to force the door with bloody hands. What sort of prank is this? How awful! I also just noticed it as I came to call you. I will clean it later. Perhaps this is a vulgar joke by one of the guests. Disgusting. Truly disgusting. Who in the world would pull such a childish and disgusting prank? Natsuki had a pretty good idea, but of course there was no proof. So even if she pushed the issue, it would just seem as though she was making a fuss of nothing. In fact, it would truly be better as to act as she didn't realize that such a prank had been played on her. Natsuki gave the order to have it cleaned and headed off to the parlor with a squeak of her heels. When Natsuki and Genji arrived at the parlor, Ava and Hideyoshi were already there. It was just a prank, bro. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Natsuki-san. I heard Goda-san would be making us a breakfast, too. Stomach's been getting all excited since I woke up. After all, it seems food is all you can look forward to at the head family household. I'm pleased to see that you are in high spirits so early in the morning, Ava-san. With a weary expression, Natsuki returned Ava's gaze, which was fiercely competitive. Oh my god. Competitive despite the early hour. Then Kanon jogged in. After bowing an apology to the relatives for running inside the mansion, he noticed Genji and told him something in a small voice. Oh, you gotta just check that shit out. Kanon, have you still not found Goda? My apologies, madam. I went all over the inside of the mansion and the guest house, but I still haven't found him. Where in the world has he gone? At any rate, breakfast is a higher priority than finding Goda right now. See to it immediately. Yes. Kanon glanced at Genji. It seemed like he had something else to report, but was uncertain whether or not the words should come from him. Genji nodded and decided to give the report himself. Madam. Huh? It is not only Goda. Your husband is also nowhere to be found. My husband? Yes. Even before visiting you, I went to his room to tell him breakfast wasn't being prepared, but I did not find him there. Furthermore, he is not the only one missing. Rudolph-sama, his wife, and Rosa-sama are nowhere to be found. Not in the guest house? Nor the mansion? Yes. They were not in the rooms in the guest house either. When she heard that Goda alone wasn't missing, she assumed that he had slept or was loafing around somewhere. However, now that she learned that several of the relatives were also nowhere to be seen, she began to take a slightly more optimistic view. Last night's family conference have continued all night? Up until the present moment? If so, they may have wanted to cool their heads after being stuffed in a stuffy room. Going out for walks on their own through the rain. The part about cooling their heads really sounded like something Kraus would say. Goda had probably been summoned to accompany them and aid them in some way. Goda was not a man who lost track of time. He had to understand that preparations for breakfast would be hindered if he did not return. However, maybe the family conference had continued until this very moment, with an atmosphere that would make it hard for anyone to slip out. Yes, that theory would be quite convincing for Natsuki. She remembered the illusion she felt that morning, as though the previous night had never ended. When she learned of the feeling wasn't just an illusion, she once again took a deep, weary breath. After all, that banquet of filthy vultures circling Kenzo's property was still going on. Perhaps they are still discussing the inheritance somewhere in the garden, or maybe the beach. At any rate, if we don't call Goda back, we'll never be able to begin preparations for breakfast. So what are you saying? Are Nissan and the rest still continuing their discussion? She planned to say in a small voice, but Hideyoshi overheard Natsuki and managed to grasp the situation. Nissan and Rudolph sure are tough. Maybe it's just youth in Rosa's case? Just after about midnight, those two of us were so tired we headed back to the bed. Though I do remember that Nissan and the rest were still having a heated discussion at that point. Men certainly are unpleasant when they get all fired up.
Natsuhi snorted, her face still blank.
Kanon, search outside. If you find Goda, tell him to return immediately and begin preparing breakfast. Certainly. Natsune-san, we don't know for sure that they're outside, do we? Couldn't they also be inside Father's study?
I see. That's certainly possible. I don't know what path their conversation took. There's certainly a chance they moved to Father's study and let him out on the discussion.
Can't imagine that Father would willingly let them into such a detestable topic, into his, oh my god, study. You really think so? Well then there's nothing we can do. I'm sorry, Genji-san and Kanon-kun, but could you search outside? It wouldn't be that strange for Nissan to suggest they go outside for a walk to cool their heads, even in this weather. I'll go to Father's study. Who knows, they may actually be in there after all. Eva-san, I couldn't ask a guest like you to exert herself so. I will go. I will also wish him a good morning while I'm at it. Oh, then I'll leave it in your hands, though I somehow doubt he'll return your greeting. Natsune-san, you've always been on such good terms with Father. I do not know why you would call it that, but I'm sure that I have gained his trust as the wife of the successor of the Ushiyama family. Then I'm sure he'll at least answer you, right? I'd like to at least have breakfast with Father. You think you could convince him to come down and join us? It seems that he thoroughly despises the rest of us, but I'm sure he'll listen to you, if he trusts you that much. After speaking so boldly, if you're unable to convince Father to come down alone, then I doubt you'll ever be able to claim you've earned his trust again. I am not confident, but I will try.
Natsuhi responded, looking discouraged. However, knowing Kinzo's temperament, she had absolutely no confidence in her ability to bring him out. Ava was clearly mocking her, confident that Natsuhi wouldn't be able to get Kinzo to come down. But even so, Natsuhi would lose face if she gave up, saying it was impossible and letting Ava go instead. Ava's mean-spirited and unreasonable demand made Natsuhi clench her fist slightly. When Genji realized this, he softly spoke to her above her shoulder. Over. Madam, please take this if you would.
This is?
Genji handed Natsuhi a sparkling gold key of ornate design. It was the key to Kinzo's study. The study had an auto-lock and couldn't be unlocked as long as Kinzo forbade entrance. However, since Genzo was especially trusted by Genzo. Genzo! No way, they got Genzo in this game? Was especially trusted by Kinzo. He was allowed to carry a key to that door.
But if his key is used, won't you also receive blame?
When the master is sleeping deeply, simply knocking on the door will not suffice. And it would be more difficult to persuade the master to leave his room. You must walk through the door. Please use this.
Genji.
Till now, Natsuhi had thought about Genji as a cold servant who wouldn't do anything for her, since he worked directly under Kinzo. It looked like she would have to alter her understanding of him. She wanted to communicate her gratitude, but by then, Genji had already turned his back on her and was walking down the corridor with Kanon. Natsuhi watched them go. The words directed from her behind were sneering.
Well then, you must bring Father with you, okay? After all, it's his son's precious wife who's asking. I'm sure he'll listen to you. Giggle, giggle, giggle. We're guests, so we'll just relax here at our leisure.
Quit it, Ava. You're taking this too far. Sorry, Natsuhi-san. We'll count on you to deal with Father. Without answering, Natsuhi forcefully spun around on her heels and quickly left that place. After all that excitement from the previous night, there was no way anyone was going to wake up early. Georgianiki, Jesna, and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousin's room. But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she was met with the loud snoring of the other three cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. Then she pulled out a knife. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her. She quickly got lonely.
Maria left the cousin's room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Bringing no heed to the three that was sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, Fowler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him. After a while, Maria returned, once again opening the door with a lively bang. Hello. When she had left, her face had been sleepy, and now she was back. She looked irritated. After that, she climbed up on Battler's bed, which happened to be the closest, and started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline. Boop 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 boom 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 boom. Doo 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 doo. Wake up! Doo doo. Huh? What? Is it an enemy raid? Drown them! After making sure I was awake, Maria moved over to George and Iki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the three of us were greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening. Thanks for waking us up, Maria-chan. Stopped us from sleeping in after a late night. Only you could have been a bit more gentle about it. George Nissan, you really are an adult. Expect that. It'll be 7 soon. Well, it's not really a bad time to wake up. Mama's not here. Aunt Rosa? She wasn't in her room. I wonder if she'll already be woken up and gone to the mansion. Not here. Ooh. Ooh. Mama! Ooh. Oh no. Maria just can't groaning ooh and looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't where she expected. If we could just tell her where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. Unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here. Anyway, it's time for breakfast, so let's head over to the mansion. That's right. Maria, let's go down to the mansion together, okay? I'm sure Aunt Rosa will be there too. Oh, Mama's in the mansion? And I'll go there. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I guess we should go to the mansion. They all slept in their fucking suits. They only have one pair of clothes, guys. Listen, they're very rich, but they're very economical. They wear one pair of clothes and that's it. Our parents probably have already gone there. Maria regained her usual composure so completely, her earlier tantrum now seemed a bit like a lie. We got dressed, left the room, and headed to the mansion. Once more, there was a knocking sound on the study door. That's why they're so rich. They only have one pair of clothes. But there was no answer. He seemed to be sleeping in, but I could not wake him. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Ava probably would be amused and triumphant. And after putting Ava aside, the problematic that Kenzo had stayed shut away during the entire once-a-year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Did it say they got dressed? We got dressed. They put on a second suit. Guys, our suits are a little dirty now. Let's put on the same suit. Even the family head. No. Especially the family head. Fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsu readied herself and used the key that she borrowed from Genji to open the door. Wakey wake, bitch. Wakey wake, bitch. That's what she said. That's a Natsu voice. Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench, it seemed like to eat into one's brain as it poured down the small crack in the door, I couldn't help but grimace. Thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsu entered the room quietly. Hey, it's the bitch! It's the bitch in the corner! When she did, Kenzo was already awake and looking down out the window. So, you're awake. Good morning. How did you get in? Kenzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, and Natsu was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't have ignored all of that knocking if he was in a good mood. Natsu wasn't able to react. My sincere apologies. I asked Genji-san and he allowed me to borrow the key to this study. Oh, Genji did. If my friend thought it was important, then I have no choice but to listen. So, what business do you have with me? Well, breakfast will be ready soon. I would greatly appreciate it if you would join us. I will eat here. Have it brought here like always. Father, this family conference happens once a year. Please, at least let them see your face. Go back downstairs. Are you asking me to join as if they discuss how to chew up my inheritance after I die? How foolish. Let them speak of such matters as much as they please without me. If that's what you call a family conference, it's hardly worth leaving my room for it. I am busy. Do not bother me. His last words carried the threat that any further questions would not be appreciated. Natsuki realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her. She didn't look forward to facing Ava's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsuki could do. Is that so? Understood. I'm sure everyone will be sorry to hear it, but I will tell them. Natsuki decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up. Is that... Can you? As she did, Kinzo spoke to her. His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came from an entirely different person. Natsuki, it has been quite some time since you married into the Ushiramiya family. Yes, it's been many years since I was first permitted to bear the name Ushiramiya. You know something long for your previous family. Do you sometimes long for your previous family? No. Marriage means abandoning your birth family. I am Ushiramiya Natsuki. He turned into a fucking chandelier. No! There are two different lights on the chandelier. The Ushiramiya family is the only family I come home to. The only one I am fond of. She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Ushiramiya family name to herself. And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't react to her like an Ushiramiya, leaving her to race about in vain. If Kraus were a chandelier, if Kraus were a woman, and you his husband, no, I wouldn't say that. What do you mean by that, father? Natsuki was shocked. If Kenzo's words right now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all that she suffered up to that point. Forget it. It's just the nonsense of a bold man. Kenzo once again faced away from her. He was a skater boy. He told her to forget it, but Natsuki couldn't help but feeling the warmth in his heart, in her heart. Father, no, I, Natsuki, am not connected to you by blood. I am still your daughter. I will most assuredly see to it that your honor and glory and everything you have left behind are protected. If my son were to go through force fem and you were a man, then you do not have the right to wear the one-winged eagle. However, the one-winged eagle is surely engraved in your heart. That is irrefutable proof that you are my blood relative, one who will inherit the glory of the Ushiramiya family. Some will sneer that there is no eagle on your clothes. Such words are not worth lending an ear to. Only those who hold the eagle in their hearts are my true blood relatives. I now consider it an honor that you were welcomed into the Ushiramiya family. Without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsuki. However, Natsuki couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her. She hadn't felt since long ago, when she had just been a child. Natsuki bowed silently to his back and left the room. Man, my husband's been gone out for like an hour now. Ah, good timing. How is father? You were taking so long, so I came to check. When Natsuki had left the study, she saw Ava climbing up the stairs and their eyes met. Yo, Grandpa, stop doing that! I must carve this eagle into your heart! Kinzo Sephiroth, but he lost all his hair. That's why he has gray hair. Got it. The one-winged angel. Natsuhi, if you were on the moon and Kraus was also on the moon, and one of you killed the other with a moon rock, would that be fucked up or what? Um. Yes? Ava was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsuhi would leave drudgingly after failing to convince Kenzo. However, the way Natsuhi was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothes, but she was permitted to wear it in her heart. She spoke calmly, clearly, and confidently, with the dignity of one who would protect the Ushirimiya family's glory. Father said he would not join in on the family conference. That is it. Girl boss out. Snap. He says he has no interest in discussing such obscene matters. I figured you'd say something like that. If you fail to persuade Father, just say so. How pitiful. I'm beginning to see why Father lamented so. What do you mean by that? Natsui did not answer. Just as Kenzo had done earlier, she towed Ava back as she had headed down the stairs. Here's my back, bitch. Ava finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsui's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kenzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue. Make a motion as though scratching at it, and follow after Natsuhi. So, were Nissan and the rest there? Did you ask Father about them? I didn't get the chance to ask, but they were not inside the study. Father would never let them in his room to discuss such a lowly topic, though it is unlikely he knows where they are. Let us go downstairs and wait for the servants to return from their search. Breakfast may be late, but how would you like some tea, Ava-san? That would be fine. Ava couldn't hide her confusion at the the complete difference in Natsui's attitude. She was acting so boldly, while Ava hated to admit it. She even had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Ava could only follow Natsui back to the parlor. Come on! When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsui had returned. You still have not found my husband and the rest? Yes. My apologies. Also, Kumasawa had started preparing breakfast. She said that she would need a little longer. The clock read a little past 8. 8 should have been the time to start breakfast. Normally, going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host. Shannon is now searching outside. Also, no one has seen Shannon either. Even Shannon's missing. Truly, just how many people did my husband bring with him on his little walk? Just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was this large, I'm starting to feel truly unpleasant, though the people were the only ones being left out of something interesting. At least, that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach grumbling, almost as though her mother and the others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her. The other children went flipping through the channels on the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Nanja was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. He is unbothered. It must have been a book about chess. The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one set, so they realized before seeing who it was that belonged to... It was probably Kanon, not Kraus and the rest. Madam, excuse me. Judging by your appearance, you still haven't been able to find them. My apologies. I still haven't... That will be enough. You've worked hard. She didn't know where they were, but they had to be somewhere on this island. They hadn't had a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling about now. They'd probably come plodding back on their own accord before long. And now, Natsu was thoroughly exasperated and starting to feel that there was no reason for them to go out of their way in search. I will go to the kitchen and prepare some tea for the guests. Thanks to both of you for your hard work so early in the morning. Ow! Every time she grabs her head, she just go, ow! Natsu left the parlor, acting as though the release in tension had caused a new surge in the headache. Kanon tried to call her back, but Natsu left swiftly. What is it? Was there something else? Yes. I was unable to find her husband or anyone else, but, well... Kanon sounded evasive. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but it spotted something that might have been connected to their disappearance. Ava and Hideyoshi noticed the exchange of words and came over. They had probably picked up on something strange in Kanon's behavior. What's going on, Kanon-kun? Did you find Grass Nissan and everyone else? Actually, Rose Garden storehouse looks strange. What do you mean, strange? It looked strange. It was, how should I explain it? Kanon hesitated once more. His tone wasn't that what you expect from this usual fearless boy. Seeing this, Ava and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously. What do you mean? Are you saying Nissan and the others went inside the storehouse? No. I'm going to inspect the inside now. I just came back now to get the key, but... I don't really get it, but it sounds like we gotta look around inside it. Where's the key to that storehouse? It is in the servant room. Let us check inside the storehouse at once. Kanon dashed off to the servant room and returned with the key. Genji left the parlor, saying that he would go to check, but then Ava and Hideyoshi followed after him. What's this something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Kanon to hesitate? It was still pouring outside, but perhaps their curiosity over the something that Kanon couldn't talk about won out. While the children made a big fuss watching the television, Kanon and the rest dashed over to the entrance. The Rose Garden storehouse was a place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of its appearance, it had been built so that it was hidden in a corner of the Rose Garden. Kanon, Genji, Ava, and Hideyoshi started cutting across the Rose Garden holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits to those appreciating the garden, and only used by those maintaining it. As they dashed down, the storehouse came into view in front of them. Hey, it's a guy, it's a thing, it's a dude, it's a shutter! Yo, I got a shutter too, look! Right there! It was quite an old shed, and compared to the flawlessly perfect beauty of the Rose Garden, it was pretty seedy looking. It was easy to understand why it had been built in a hard-to-see place. Ava and Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Kanon and Genji. You two sure are fast! I thought my heart was gonna explode. I never knew they had a storehouse way over here. But, what is that? When Ava looked at where Kanon was pointing, she was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Kanon's finger, and was likewise too shocked. The entrance to the storehouse was kind of a shutter, and there, everyone suddenly realized what Kanon had been unable to find words to describe what they now saw. On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it, was a funny little circle. It was a cool little circle, just like nothing out of the ordinary. There was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid? Mucus? Or maybe it was some sticky paint. An iridescent, eerie shape had been drawn on the shutter with some kind of ghastly substance. The rain had caused it to drip down like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. No more beating around the bush. Some kind of mark was drawn there. The ghastly substance that looked like blood, in a shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. 2 circles were drawn there, and inside them was a design that looked like a cross. 4 ends of the cross were widely exaggerated, looked like some kind of crest from somewhere around Europe. The cracks between the shapes were closely packed together. Were some unfamiliar characters, or possibly symbols? What a vulgar bit of graffiti. Could this be one of those? One of those magic circles used in demonic ceremonies? It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape, along with such a deep red, dripping substance. When was it made? Last night. I came here before it started raining and there was nothing drawn at the time. We must do something before anyone sees this. They laid eyes upon it, which caused them great discomfort. That's right. Even though it's just a shed, I wouldn't want to leave such an unpleasant piece of graffiti alone for even a second longer than I have to.
That is not her voice.
A second longer than I have to.
There is some paint inside the storehouse. Let us paint over it temporarily as an emergency measure. Then repaint it again someday when the weather is good.
Did you remember that he had recently seen another scribble,
and that too had been made with some strange dark red substance of the same color as this.
That must have been... That's right, he'd seen it on the door to Natsu's room. Hanan-kun, let us remove the scribble quickly and go back, okay? Even though it's just a storehouse, it's something irritating to have graffiti around the home I was brought up in. Yes, ma'am. I will take care of it immediately.
Hanan squatted in front of the shutter and unlocked it. Then he lifted it up with all of his strength. A boisterous noise resounded, and the eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get stuck, and through the top of the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, the ominous drawing disappeared from the direct gaze, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to the kids program that came across, Maria was feeling much better. Battler and Jessica were poking fun at the kids' shows every turn, cackling together. George was enjoying the program with Maria from her perspective. Nacho sat on the sofa by himself, passing the time reading quietly. They heard hurried footsteps coming down the hallway. They were the footsteps of a single person. Did that mean it wasn't the group of four that had just left? It was Genji. It was very rare for Genji, who considered being out of breath for a violation of a servant's virtues, to be gasping for air. He had probably come dashing back from outside the mansion. His shoulders were soaking wet, and he didn't have his usual trim appearance. When Genji noticed Nanjo looking for him, he gave a small, silent bow and quickly approached him. Dr. Nanjo, my apologies. Please, come with me quickly. What? What is the matter? As Genji had whispered something in Nanjo's ear, Nanjo went pale. He rose from the sofa, trying not to be noticed by the children who were still engrossed by the TV. And the two of them rapidly left the parlor, muffling their footsteps. Just as they were about to exit the parlor, they came across Natsuhi, who was pushing a serving cart loaded with tea set. Genji whispered something into Natsuhi's ear, and Natsuhi went pale, too, in apparent shock. Then, leaving the serving cart where it was, the three of them dashed towards the entrance. George noticed them running off down the rose garden through a window. What's that? Isn't that Genji-san and Dr. Nanjo and... That's Aunt Natsuhi, isn't it? What's up, Aniki? Maybe something happened. They looked terribly flustered. When Jessica and Maria saw that Ava, Hideyoshi, and Nanjo were no longer in their seats, and that the serving cart had been abandoned in the entrance of the parlor, they had also realized that something was the matter. Could there have been some kind of accident? Let's go check it out. It's no fun we're the only ones left out, right? For some reason, when Battler had said sounded extremely indiscreet, they couldn't deny that they were a little insecure and concerned after seeing the adults run off into the rain without regards to their appearance. Let's check it out, okay? I'm worried something might have happened. Jessica's uneasy words spoke for all of them. Hey, Maria, are you coming too? Or will you watch TV?
Ooh, wanna watch TV? Ooh.
Let's go on without her. Maria-chan, we'll be back soon. You can keep watching TV, okay?
Ooh.
By the time the kids made it outside, the adults were no longer in sight. But Jessica seemed to have a pretty good idea of where they'd gone, judging by the direction they had been running. Following Jessica, we ran through the rain-soaked rose garden. The wind seemed to suddenly get stronger. The malicious sound of thunder began to ring out like it had been on the previous night. It felt like an eerie something had surrounded the island, trying to stop us from moving forward. Jessica, is there something over this way? I'm pretty sure there's a storehouse for gardening tools or something. What in the world could be going on in a place like that? Just as Jessica had said that, they began to see a storehouse in front of them. They could also see the adults there. The shutter to the storehouse was open. Several adults looked as though they were searching for something. For some reason, only Natsuhi was outside the storehouse, without even holding an umbrella. She looked like she was hanging her head, and her back was facing them.
There was Genji, Najo, and Natsuhi, who had just left the mansion. The ones who had left earlier, Kanon, Ava, and Hideyoshi, were also there, making for a small crowd of people. There was absolutely no bustle of activity. When Natsuhi realized the children were approaching, a terrible expression rose to her face, and she ran at them with her arms spread wide. You mustn't come any closer! Get back to the mansion! However, no, because of that, the kids saw the scene Natsuhi was trying to keep away from them. Inside the storehouse, with its shutter wide open, a faint fluorescent light shone down. And right there was... Yeah! Ooh, no! God damn it! Why would he make Jessica scream? Jessica's piercing shriek ran out. That was just because Jessica's scream was the loudest. The same thing spilled out. I love Golden Slaughter. Spilled out Battler and George's mouth as well. Ava spread her arms just like Natsuhi, roaring at the kids with a bone-chilling expression on her face. George, take everyone and return to the mansion. Quickly! Right now! When Natsuhi spread her arms, I thought she was trying to prevent us from advancing any further. But that wasn't why Ava was spreading her arms right now. She was trying to stop us from seeing the terrible scene. It was her mother's heart, trying to protect the eyes and hearts of the children by blocking our view of that terrible scene by the last width of one of her arms. Is this some kind of joke? Is it? I've seen this kind of cheap scene all too often. In manga, TV, anime, and movies. I'd seen it over and over again. This was just seeing something appear in real life. I'd seen plenty of times before in some of those sensational movies. Right? That alone shouldn't... that suit... It's that old bastard's, isn't it? I get it. That's Uncle Kraus. And Kirie-san. And Aunt Rosa. Dad! You mustn't, Jessica. You mustn't go in. You mustn't look. Dad! Rigor mortis has set in across almost the entire body. Most likely, 6 hours or more have passed since death. As far as I can tell by looking at the damaged area, there's a high probability that they were damaged after their deaths. No, I must watch what I say. I'm a general practitioner. Examining corpses is outside my area of expertise. So, what does that mean? Just killing them wasn't enough? They went on to do something like this? The devil! This is the work of a devil! Aunt Natsuhi caught Jessica in her arms, and Aunt Ava caught George and Iki. Oh, I was the only one who could approach the entrance to the storehouse. If only there had been someone there to catch me too. I wouldn't have needed this horrible, evil scene burned into my eyes. No, that's not it. It isn't that there's no one here to catch me. The people who should catch me, they're right there, aren't they? Just as Jessica said, it did look like a storehouse for gardening tools. A lawnmower with extra blades, a grass sickle and a hammer, and carpentry tools such as a saw, piled up pot plants. There's just so much weed in there. A bag of fertilizer. And treated just the same, corpses of several people have been laid to rest there. No, been tossed in there. You could tell them by their clothes. That old bastard and Kirie-san, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Rosa. Beyond that, Goda-san. There's still more of them? How many people died? You're fucking kidding me. I can't even count them on one hand. Damn it. I don't know whether it had been one of these gardening tools which was used for something other than intended purpose could definitely be... Oh my god. Which if used for something other than their intended purpose could definitely be wielded with a naked brutality. Or whether some horrible tool had been brought in here, specifically for this. Anyway, each one of their bodies jammed in here and given an atrocious makeup. It wasn't makeup. It was more like... their faces have been plowed. Their faces were smashed, forced into expressions that normal people couldn't even make after death. Couldn't even tell where their eyes and noses were, but they couldn't find their mouths because they were gaping wide. gums exposed. Their front teeth were missing. Even the cheeks that should have been covered with were all torn up and laid bare. Trendy makeup you always spent so much time on, even though you're a man, isn't doing a thing now. Dad, I always thought you were going to hell. This still like this, right? You weren't such a son of a bitch that you should suffer so brutally. Kyrie-san, can I tell you to stop going out with this guy? There's absolutely no reason for you to end up like this too. Got no faces. No faces. Damn it, damn it, damn it! Butler-son, you mustn't look anymore. There's no way your mother and father would want you to see them like this. For your mother and father's sakes, you mustn't look anymore. Dead people are supposed to have faces that look like they're sleeping peacefully, right? They've got no faces. My dad and Kyrie-san have got no faces. I don't even know what kind of faces they were wearing when they died. What's wrong with me? I have to see these smashed up monster-like faces every time I remember them? That's just great. I didn't want to remember that old bastard smug face anyway. Just great. Just great. But why even Kyrie-san's face too? Kyrie-san wasn't a crook. Sure, she ticked me off now and then. She was like a cool big sister to me. This is wrong. This is so wrong. At least Uncle Kraus has it better, doesn't he? It's not his whole face, just a side. At least he's got half his face left, right? That's still better. That's still better. No. Jessica filled her ears with the sound of her own screaming. I tried to shut my reckless words. Stop it, Battler-kun. Just stop it. Just stop it. Nikki. Nikki. Disregarding age and appearance, I fell to my knees, clinging to Aniki's waist and sobbing. It was this I was crying on behalf of everyone there, representing the feelings of everyone there. I screamed over and over. But the banger music was just going on the whole time. Father, the ones flying over there are Uncle Kraus, Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kyrie, Aunt Rosa and Goda-san. Just those 5, right? No. 6. There's one more person over here. The body Hideyoshi was looking down on, now, happened to be hidden among the shadows in that mountain of range of objects. In a blind spot to George, he stood by the entrance. So, George couldn't tell whose body it was. So George cursed himself. He cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right. So, the one lying at your feet is Shannon, isn't it? Yes, it's Shannon-chan. Oh, by the way, hey, silly little thing. All the people that died have a nice little red thing now. Corpse found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems the side of his head was smashed after death. We start where it all begins. He has the right to lament his ill fortune. She was chosen by the demon's roulette. That's all there is to it. I'll be seeing her again, so I'm not lonely. Don't worry, everyone will be revived in the Golden Land. How unfortunate. Apparently he was actually supposed to be on duty at the guest house. Yes, it's Shannon-chan. Oh, yes, it's Shannon-chan. Oh, fuck, not World End. Fuck you. George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling. Normally, would have wanted to run to his beloved's body, screaming and crying. However, before rashly rushing over, worked to keep his composure. Asked his father, "Is Shannon the same as Uncle Kraus and the others?" Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, though he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Or rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse was in the same condition of the others or not. since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, meant her corpse was in the same brutal state. Can I look at Shannon? No! Can't. Why not? After all, I won't be able to see Shannon's face again, right? Why won't you just let me? What her face looked like at the end. The last time you met Shannon-chan was yesterday, right? Yes. I see. When you left her, what kind of face was she showing you? A wonderful smile. That wasn't the CGA used. Her eyes were open. After he handed her the ring, she hesitated, even though she must have already made up her mind. Then she looked bashful, and ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see the face that see her face looking at like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind. I see. Then I'm sure Shannon-chan would want to leave you with that smile in your memory. Hideyoshi looked down upon Shannon's body lying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, it was in such a horrible state it'd make anyone want to cover their eyes. Her head had been smashed in from the side, and no more than half of her expression remained. If the remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean, would that grateful smile of hers have peeked out? But only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. Her face was going to be crushed anyway, and if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from his pain by making the pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. Half of her face had been left untouched. Caused the body so much humiliation, still proving beyond doubt that the body was Shannon's and no one else's. How inhumane. How brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression into his eyes, he lay at Hideyoshi's feet. It's Kanon. Kanon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. But that didn't mean he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with him in the same orphanage, whom he had loved as a sister, must have been the same as losing a blood relative. George, I'm sure Shannon-chan is thanking you, is saying thank you. You must be glad you didn't end up seeing her in such a pitiful state. Sure, she's thanking you for holding strong and showing restraint. I understand. I understand, Father. I understand. George leaned against the outside wall of a storehouse, crouching down limply. Father, I have a request. What is it? I want you to look for me. Is there a ring on Shannon's finger? A ring? I see. Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Shannon silently pointed to one of Shannon's hands. Yeah, there is. It's a diamond ring. With a valuable diamond. Must have been pretty expensive. And which hand is which finger is it on? Ring finger of her left hand. I see. So Shannon-chan engaged? George, don't tell me you... Ava, that doesn't matter now. A man made a lifelong promise to Shannon-chan. A man promises happiness, her happiness for life. Who that man is isn't the issue here. Being told that by a man is a woman's dream, isn't it? I don't know when she received this ring. I also don't know who gave it to her. However, even so, Shannon-chan took this ring. Then she accepted it, put it on her left ring finger. I'm sure the man who gave it to her was also happy. Most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by the extraordinary situation, was blurting out strange things. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship would understand the full meaning of those words. See. Thank you, Father. George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, but his expression had returned to its usual calm one. Let's go. Atler-kun, Jessica-chan. If we stay here any longer, we'll get in the way of the adults. You're right. Jessica sniffed once, shoving her face into her mother, who had been holding her the whole time. Let her know that she was okay now. When she faced George again, she was once again had on her usual expression, though she still couldn't smile. Battler, hang in there. Battler kept on crouching in front of his parents' bodies. Sorry. Crying like hell calmed me down. Bastard. Dad, I bet you're laughing at me. After all that shit I talked about you, here I am crying like a baby just because you died. So what? I guess I got that gene that makes you cry when your parents kick the bucket. Battler's face was still bright red from the tears. He at least recovered enough to fake a smile, only a bitter one. Come on. You mustn't remain here any longer either. Take the children and return to the mansion. Natsuki had been standing under her rain the whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving, different from Battler's. Realizing that she had to take the role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, she gave Kanon those orders. Yes, madam. Kanon rose silently and turned to face me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon. There was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, he had been told to guide the children through the beautiful rose garden. Kanon might have led the way, but now there was no distinction between Kanon and the children. They were now just kids of the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure the children were leaving, he started giving orders to Genji. Genji, contact the police immediately. They probably won't be able to come until the typhoon passes, but they should be able to tell us what to do next. Understood. There is an emergency radio, so I will use that to contact them. When she heard that, Natsuki remembered. That's right, the phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio, since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island. At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait. Dr. Nanjo, is there anything more that you can do here? Unfortunately, there is nothing I can do. Understood. Genji, would you at least cover their faces with something? Exposing them like this is humiliating to them as well. Yes, ma'am. Genji picked up several dried towels from inside the storehouse, when Ava stopped him with a shrill voice. Wait a second! Stop. This is a scene of a crime, isn't it? And we mustn't disturb it. We all panic and walk in here with our shoes on, but even that will surely get in the way of the police's investigation, right? Natsuki glared at Ava, offended. Objectively speaking, Ava was right. Even so, she glared at Ava as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses, which had been humiliated even after death. The simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Ava had spoken both calmly and correctly. The horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone had killed them. It was a murder case. So, they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the crime scene any further. I agree with Ava-san. Till the police come, we should leave everything to be. What do you say, madam? You're right. Very well. Close it up. And just in case, we should put a different lock on it. Different lock? Yes. When we came here, the shutter was locked. That means the culprit used the key to the shutter to lock it. That makes sense. Does it mean the key that opens the shutter will have the culprit's fingerprints on it? I'm sure it'll be worth submitting to the police as evidence. Kanon-kun usually has it, and he used it to unlock the shed just now. He'll probably have Kanon's fingerprints on it. Also, the key was handed to Genji just now, and he took it with his bare hands. It doesn't seem to be useful as evidence. That was careless of me. My apologies. Genji-san, are there any other keys to the storehouse? No. Only this one. So the culprit walked out of the servant room with that key. It was nice enough to return the key where they found it? Hideyoshi's theory sounded plausible, but there was actually strange if you thought about it. Yeah, first little box thing. I love these. Hideyoshi, why would they go to the trouble of returning the key they stole? No, if you think about it even more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. When a criminal hides a body, they're usually hiding to delay a point at which it will be found. They can use that crime to escape. The 6 weren't necessarily killed here, but it was reasonable to assume that they were killed somewhere on this island, carried to the storehouse, and hidden to delay the discovery of the crime. And yet, the eerie magic circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated the location of the hidden corpses. Sure, it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had made such an obvious piece of graffiti and returned the key to the shutter, almost as though they wanted the corpses here to be discovered. Anyway, we can't put all our faith in a lock that the culprit had opened once before. Holy fuck. Yeah, good night. I'm glad that you stuck around for people dying. That's always good. But thank you for coming, bud. I was actually literally gonna, like, I don't know when this chapter ends. I was gonna end right after this chapter. We want to protect this place from the culprit's hand. I think we should put a new lock on it. I think that's a good plan. I agree. Then she fished around inside the storehouse and unsealed the brand new padlock that was inside the small box. What should we do with the key? I will take it. I will take the responsibility and hand it over to the police. Natsuki took the key and padlock from Genji's hand. After that, they all exited and lowered the shutter. And so, the corpses were once again sealed behind the shutter, which was still covered with the creepy magic circle. Genji crouched down in front of a shutter, fastened a new padlock. Oh, thanks, bud. Shutters often have a place in front where you can attach your own lock, in addition to the main lock of the shutter. This was one of those types. In the midst of the roar of the thunder and pouring rain, the storehouse stood there, ominously. With its closed shutters still covered in blood-like, creepy substance, swallowed up the bodies of the 6. The Natsuki, putting the new lock on, wasn't mainly to preserve the scene of the police. He might have felt that they wanted to shut the mouth for all eternity, to prevent that eerie beast from swallowing up any more victims. Come on, let's go, everyone. Dr. Nanjo, thank you very much for your work. Genji, hurry and contact the police. I will do so as soon as I return. The adults left the storehouse. The ghastly magic circle drawn on the shutter kept the 6 bodies in its throat, looming eerily as the lighting continued, occasionally lit it up. And that's what we call, literally, you were here for like an extra minute. That's so funny. Okay, thank you everyone for coming out. We are Curtains Rise on Tragedy, hell yeah. Oh, I know exactly who I'm fucking rating. Let's go. Oh, dude, thank you so much. Damn. I'm gonna raid my buddy who's playing Shadow the Hedgehog. That's so base of them. I hope you guys had a fun time. I'll be back on Sunday when I'm uploading all my fucking VODs. So that's gonna be funny as my internet struggles to keep up with streaming and uploading. Dude, thank you so much. Oh fuck. Cool. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll be back next Thursday hopefully with this, and if it's not Thursday, it'll be Friday. So I don't know what I'll do next Tuesday, but Sunday. But I'm pressing raid. Bye. In stream.